Just make sure I got all this queued up. Yep, I do. And starts in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to Core. This is Core for Thursday, July 22nd, 2021. I'm Scott Johnson with Bo Schwartz and John Jagger, and we are bringing the video game news, views, and reviews straight up into your face hole. How does it feel? How does it feel? Yeah, all you can do is just sit there and groove on it. There's nothing you can do about it. You came here. We didn't make you listen. You decided to. How's it going, everybody? Bo, you doing good? You all right over there?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah?
I'm hanging in there.
John, you all right? You doing okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Little baby turned 5 months old today.
Oh, congratulations. New life.
I did it.
Yep.
Managed to make it 5 whole months without messing anything up too terribly.
Yeah. If I seem today, if any of us seem a little melancholy at all today, we'll get to why. You're talking about 3 hardcore Blizzard fans facing down the barrel of some very ugly news in the last 24 hours or so. And I actually gotten the news about this thing, which we'll get to in a second, while I was on a live stream of Shipbreaker, where I was tearing down ships for the Lynx Corporation and making money and making fast cash on some aluminum joints and whatever I could sell, and it was going great. And then somebody came in our chat room and said, "Oh my gosh, have you seen this thing?" And then, oh boy, did that turn my mood over the last 24 hours. But I'm excited to be here because Core cheers me up, and we got a lot to talk about. Some cool stuff, some interesting stuff, and a little bit of Blizzard talk. So stick around and enjoy what's coming up. Okay, may as well just get right to the big story. Well, okay, before we do this, you have one more day to get your name in for winning an Xbox Series S, okay? This, again, courtesy of Tanner Goodman, who has very generously offered a Series S up for the show to be given away to a lucky listener. It's going to be random, but I still encourage you, when you go to fill out this form, if you haven't done it yet, I encourage you to fill out the Dear Martha review part about, telling us why you think you should get it in Dear Martha language, because we'd like to be entertained. It won't necessarily 100% determine whether you win the thing or not, or at all. I'm just saying it's there, so
yeah, it'll be
0%. We just appreciate it. Like if it pulls up random and it's somebody who did a good job there too, I will feel extra glad that they won. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
If somebody wins and all they put in the Dear Martha thing was, I want an Xbox, then I'll be slightly less happy for you. Still happy for you and still give it to you, but, my feelings could be elevated for you.
This is a great prize. Work for it.
Right.
I haven't bought a console in 15 years. I got this one. I love it so much. It's great. It's convenient. It's fast. Plays lots of great games. It's a beautiful thing.
And you're going to love it too.
That said, I'll have a version of the Dear Martha if somebody didn't write one themselves when we decide to read it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
They're going to get the Dear Martha of shame,
yeah,
and their consolation will be an Xbox.
Yeah, you'll still get the Xbox, but you'll have to face down John, the oily pipe of John's...
That's what they called me in high school, the oily pipe.
Oily pipe John.
Don't know where I was going. I suddenly realized I said oily pipe and I stopped. I didn't know where else to go. There was nowhere else to go.
Well, what else is there to say?
The fierce criticism, the intense scrutiny.
Yeah, no,
you're doing
real
prowess.
words. Bo has real words. Mine was oily pipe. I don't know what that was.
You're playing too much Shipbreaker. That's all you can think of is pipes and
oily pipe, aluminium
sheets.
Yeah, aluminium pipe.
Aluminium.
Someone in the chat said that Shipbreaker put up a post or an update on their Discord saying unless they can find a more creative solution, they may have to reset progress one more time.
Oh,
dude,
that's okay.
I am so far this time, though. I am so far because I was sure this was it. I was sure they weren't going to do it, even though I'm sure.
Still play it. You love it. So
much. I love it.
But
I'll do it again.
Yeah,
I'll do it again. But I would love it if they found a way around that or gave players a bunch of extra LT points to spend or something. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I do love that game. That is the answer. All right.
They're breaking your shit now.
Yeah, my shit is getting broken. All right, so that's the deal there. Oh, I didn't tell you the URL. It's frogpants.com/core contest, and it's still up right now. If you sign up, you'll have just as much of a chance to win as anybody else. I just want to make sure everybody had a chance to get in there. And then tomorrow on social media, we'll announce it on our Twitter account, which is Core Show, or Core Pod, rather. So get over there, frogpants.com/core contest, and you could be a winner of an Xbox Series S. And I don't know if the new S's come with I know they come with a trial of Game Pass. So if you don't already have Game Pass, you'll have that too.
I think you get 30 days with it.
Yeah,
I'm sure I did.
You just go. Maybe even 3 months.
It's great. It works way better than you think it would for a little box that it is. It's something else.
Yeah, that thing's great. It's like a little, transistor radio, but pumps out the polygons. I'll tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's get to the big old fat elephant in the room who will not leave the room. Activision Blizzard was sued for discrimination and sexual harassment by the state of California after a 2-year investigation. This is not, some private individuals doing a lawsuit on their own with their own lawyers. This is an actual lawsuit from the government of the state of California, which is a big deal because a 2-year investigation is usually no joke, and also you could turn right around and sue them for massive libel damages if it's flimsy or based on nothing. So what I'm trying to say is this is a pretty serious lawsuit. Like, this is as serious as they get.
Before it wasn't from the hip.
Yeah, this is definitely not from the hip. There's a whole bunch of places to find out all the details if you want to get into the nitty-gritty. There's a Reddit post on the WoW Reddit page that has done actually a really nice job. This always impresses me about certain Reddit posts, but it's done a really nice job of sort of organizing all of it so that you can quickly go, all right, here's the complaints, here are the defendants, here are the people called out in the suit, all the lawyerly language. Here's a link to the actual lawsuit itself. Dude, just beware around page 15. Good Lord. We'll get to all that in a second. I mean, we're not going to get into too much detail, I don't think. I don't think we are. I mean, would we? Why do we want to get into that detail?
We'll just see. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Well, because they know you guys wanted to talk about. You have instance to do, and that's probably going to be a heavy topic.
Yeah, but I just mean all right, it's a hard thing to even know where to start. So we'll just start with it. I was from my perspective, I was just floored and pissed. I couldn't believe what I was reading. It's really bad. Like, really bad stuff. And understand, this is a lawsuit that covers a couple of main areas. One is fairness in hiring practices, gender equality, pay equality, this sort of stuff. And there's some broader issues at play there as well. And those are actually probably the things that will be the most, or the easiest part of their investigation in terms of pushing it through the trial that this is inevitably headed to, because those things are quantifiable. You can say, well, from this date to this date, these quarters, these years, or whatever, you hired this many people, but you paid for the exact same position. She got less than he did, and why is that? Like, there's some pretty strict laws in California for some of this stuff, and so some of those are kind of what's the word? That's the more not I don't mean concrete as in they're the truer parts. That's not what I mean.
But the most clear cut.
They're the most clear
cut. There's not a place to really have a lot of debate if you can go, here's here's in many cases multiple people working the same job, and almost universally men are being paid more than women for the same line of work.
Right.
You don't have to rely on somebody's testimony, what somebody's saying. Like, these are numbers and factors that are reported and easily quantifiable.
Right. And then some of this is, like, when I first picked it up, I went, I don't know why my brain did this, but I went, please let this be mostly Activision, since we want to make them the devil, and we don't think of
sure,
Blizzard
we already
in this way.
don't like them.
We already don't like them, right?
If there's two people in the room and you hate one of them, and then you find out one of the people in the room is a douchebag, you're like, well, I hope it's the guy I don't like. Yeah. And then it turns out, like, oh no, it's both of them.
It's both. One of the gnarlier accounts in this thing is I'll just read from this article. The suit points to a female Activision employee who took her own life while on a company trip with her male superior. The employee was being subjected to intense sexual harassment prior to her death, including having nude photos passed around at a company holiday party, according to the complaint. There's even more to that story that we're not going to say on the air, but man, somebody freaking died. It's horrendous, and that's just one of the cases. I have a very visceral reaction to all of this because one of the people called out on this thing, specifically on page 15 of the complaint, is somebody I freaking shared a stage with. And I don't know why that grosses me out so much, but it does. Hearing the stuff that he was doing it's so bad, you guys. It's so bad. And
well, you were next to someone who pretended to be something they weren't.
Oh, it's really hard. I mean, that's really hard for me.
Especially, we all going to have a turn, but the company's values meant something to a lot of the people that would fly from around the world to go to visit their company's convention.
Yeah.
and it was very much an inclusive, and they relied on a lot of people on the outside who were earnest, which I include you and the guilds you were part of in World of Warcraft, that genuinely, as far as I can tell, embodied those things,
right,
to help propagate this facade of bullshit inside.
Yeah. And then, again, well, I don't know if again, because I haven't said it yet, but I'll say it now. There's certainly places within Blizzard, different teams, different departments, different people, that this is completely a shock to them too. They don't know. And I feel bad for them, because it doesn't matter what they say or do, they're going to be lumped in with this, and it bums me out.
Well, I mean, can you imagine waking up this morning as a Blizzard employee and finding out this way? And a couple things, like finding out, am I getting paid fairly? Like, maybe you didn't know. Maybe you had no idea, because we, for some reason here, make it a extreme taboo to talk about wages. I have a friend who got fired not too long ago from a place I used to work because management found out she was talking about how much she made with another employee, and that was the reason for her termination.
Right.
Was because she was discussing salary.
Yeah.
And we make it this big thing that's a secret. Can you imagine waking up and finding out, like, oh, there's a decent chance I'm not getting paid accurately for my work?
Yeah.
Or even worse, thinking you're working because Blizzard is a company that's all on the front facing, like all about inclusivity and, oh, we believe people and we hold ourselves to a higher standard and all of that. That's what they tell everybody. And you go to work for them thinking that's the company that is representing you, that you're working for, and then you find out this way that that's not the case. Like, there are people in that company right now that I'm sure are having a really hard time, and it's a job. It's not easy to leave a job. Yeah. Like, because that's the other thing I saw is people saying, nobody should work there. It's not that easy to just pack up and say, well, I'm done with a job, that you probably moved somewhere to get to. Mm-hmm. And by all accounts, Blizzard is not the best paying video game position. For a long time, there was this, well, the real honor is you get to put Blizzard on your resume. We've heard reports about that in the past, that they don't pay as competitively because it's considered an honor to work there in a prestige position. So there's a whole lot of bullshit you possibly woke up to hear this.
Yeah, and you may have believed that bullshit, that particular line of bullshit, the whole like, well, it's such an honor that you get paid less, but just think of what this does for your resume. That in itself is a violation. Like, that sucks. And it should have never been that way. Now, if the company had truly lived up to its freaking 8-core standards and all the other crap, then maybe it's an honor, and then maybe it's worth it. And maybe that becomes a personal decision and a choice. All companies have pricing or pay structures depending on the value of whether the employee wants to be there or not. That's not unusual. But yeah, these people woke up to that. They woke up finding out that some of the people they've been working with have been keeping secret some really hideous treatment, and did so to protect themselves and their jobs, and didn't know, and didn't come to them for help, and they don't know why. Well, maybe they're part of the problem. So now you got people wondering, well, am I part of the problem here? I didn't even know about this. Like, and those who didn't know about it, now you know about it. If you're at Blizzard and you didn't know, but now you also now know that structurally it's so broken that you went about your happy time there, wherever, in your little corner of bliss, and didn't know. And it's a big company. It's 4,000 employees. They're spread around the world. I get it. But primarily there in Irvine, you had this like privilege of not knowing that some of this hideous freaking crap was going on. And the person I mentioned, I'm not afraid to say his name, Alex, I never say his last name right, whatever it is.
Okay, we're not going to get
Alex.
Fraziabi?
Fraziabi, the previous, so when Metzen left, he rolled into the role of creative director of World of Warcraft in particular. And so his job was to I mean, if people were wondering why there's no writer or a creative director credit on Shadowlands, it's because right around the time the pandemic happened, he disappeared and did so very quietly, deleted his Twitter account, and now lives in Hawaii, where he lives off massive amounts of payout with his girlfriend. This all makes sense now. And I don't want to get into like, oh, puts this in a new light. Oh, puts that statement in a new light. Oh, no wonder Morheim was anxious to get out of there. Like, I don't want to get into that game because we don't know any of that, and there's no point in sort of speculating around that stuff. You can do that on your own time. But for me,
okay,
this is a guy. I don't mean you guys. I mean listeners. These guys, or this guy in particular, he's the only, in fact, he's one of the only people that is called out by name multiple times. And again, on page 15, just really rough
there's
business.
very few people actually named.
Yeah.
I think maybe 2 names appear in their total.
Yeah.
Beyond that, there's references to titles, and
John Doe's.
Yeah.
He is specifically called out for conduct. The other is more of a knew about it and had minimal response.
Yeah. So he supposedly had. The details are gnarly, and I'm tempted to go, well, let's talk about the Cosby suite that they called his office, or let's talk about.
I was going to say, if you have the words Bill Cosby in the suit brought against you, you know you really effed up.
Yeah.
Except it's bad.
The paralegal did a typo. It says Crosby, and I don't know why they did that, but
It says it multiple times. I was like, are we past the point where Bill Cosby is well enough known to not catch this?
I don't know.
That is the smallest detail, but I'm not gonna lie, it did bug me. And there was a moment, at least as I was reading this hideous thing, where I at least got to be distracted by wondering if people just didn't know who Bill Cosby was.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we're getting to a good spot where we've all forgotten.
There's like a 23-year-old, intern who, he just moved there from Ohio, and this is his first job at the legal team, and he's like, Bill who? I'm sorry, what, who? Oh, I think they said Crosby, was it? All right, I'll just put Crosby in, because they don't know who Bill Cosby is.
Star Trek, right? As a security officer?
It's pretty clear they meant Bill Cosby, though.
Clearly, yeah. It's. I mean, this stuff happens. It's a typo, but anyway, it's that if you I guess what I'm saying is, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I really want to know, quit dancing around the details. Those details get really nasty around page 15, and if you go look at it, great. If you don't, great. But my point is, there's no way that this was recent stuff for Alex, even within the 2-year investigation. This had to have been stuff from before that. And that's not the kind of behavior that happens if there isn't a large amount of allowance happening somewhere at the top. And my guess is, you don't get to retire from your cushy video game job with millions and millions of dollars and move to Hawaii if you're being reprimanded. Like, what a golden parachute that turns out to be. And I know there are, things in people's contracts that give them those golden parachutes, but it's really frustrating. Reading that really, really bugged me, and hearing about what happened specifically within and around the WoW team, that was a hot spot for this and has been for a while, really just put the sour milk in my chicken, man. I couldn't sleep last night. It was horrendous. And I realize, I'm trying not to do this, but I can't help but have this whole thing tainted by the fact that I've been so involved with this company in some form or another, including the formation of this show, including, I wouldn't know either of you without the Blizzard, the minutia of all this. There's no way these connections even happen. So it's easy for me to actually sit down and go, here is a giant list, freaking Santa Claus list of all these relationships that I have and have been able to form, and this amazing work I've been able to do with certain people, and half the shit on my back wall over here and all those posters over there. Like, my fandom runs deep, and it runs 15 years plus deep. It runs Warcraft 1 Orcs and Humans deep. And it's really conflicting. Like, the feeling
it's a betrayal.
Yeah, it's a betrayal. And again, I don't want to, this is the reason I don't like talking about me in this context, even though I'm doing it, I guess. But it's nothing compared to what these women went through. Nothing. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Like, I'm collateral, weird, way down the line damage.
I don't think we need to compare like who's worse and who's what. Like they were betrayed, you were betrayed. It's the same thing. There were core values espoused by the company, and there were certainly people there that I think believe in the more not puritanical, but just the pure notion of making great games and leaving that other business. I can't imagine it was every single person there, even in a leadership position. Some people maybe turned a blind eye or didn't know how to handle it, or were overpowered by what seems like to me like a culture that had taken over at some point. Because I don't think from its onset it was. Maybe it was. I don't know. I just don't. I don't see it with some. We've done interviews with Chris Metzen. He doesn't strike me as this kind of a person. He strikes me as a very thoughtful, reflective person. But we don't know at this point. I'm so gaslit. Like, did Kaplan leave because of this shit? Like, I don't know now, and I think we're feeling confused about that. And it's a betrayal. It's a betrayal for people who have worked on and espoused, like, promoted their company out of the sheer passion of loving it, and it was a betrayal for just women and men and you go to a job, forget what company it is. Like when you buy your gas, you don't know if the company that gives you your gas isn't shitty to all its women either.
Right.
It's not just at Blizzard. It's pretty much, it's in a lot of places.
Yeah, of
and
course.
That guys feel entitled to behave certain ways that actually make women feel shitty, and women don't say things. And it's everywhere, and it sucks. And there's still this, we haven't like solved like our behavior issues. There's still a lot of guys that just want to be guys and give you a shoulder rub even though you didn't ask for it, or lick a drink off your arm or stuff. Like, I'm reading all kinds of stories on Twitter about women who haven't had the extreme experiences but who were just made to feel uncomfortable on a regular basis and be like, well, I won't really want to work at Blizzard.
Yeah,
I guess I'll put up with these creepy dudes.
And that's the thing is I don't think it's productive ever to try to get into a race to the bottom when it comes to being a victim of things. Like, there's some horrendous things in this. Like you said, you mentioned the person who committed suicide, and we don't know 100% if that was a direct result of what was going on, but you can certainly read into it and say, hey, even if it wasn't 100% that, this certainly couldn't have helped. And you can say, that's by far, somebody's not alive anymore because of this sort of behavior, and that's easily the most tragic. But then to try and put a label or a cap on that, I feel like it also belittles the other things that people went through, the other women who had to suffer abuses and things like that. But then at the same time, like, it spreads out. The thing about this thing is that it goes out and it affects so many people. We already talked about the people who work there, who thought they were working for one company and then had to wake up and find out they were working for another. The people who maybe wanted to work there and had aspirations to go into this. I mean, Scott, your daughter wants to go into video game design.
Yeah, she literally just graduated with a degree that they need to get her in there. And like now I'm like, where am I even sending you? Like, where are you going to go? Ubisoft?
Right.
Nope. Riot? Maybe not. How about Blizzard? Ugh.
Ubisoft has new allegations. There's another one too. The CD Projekt Red, I think, had some heat about this too as well.
Yeah,
There's
this
a
industry
bunch.
reminds me of it's like a business that's hit its adolescence and is now rightfully being held to a standard that they have to start matching to. It just needs to freaking mature and knock it off. It has to.
I think you're right, but I think this is a reality and not just games.
No, I know it's not. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I don't want to give that impression. I don't think this is a games problem. It is a societal problem. But this business has gotten away with it for a long time because it was kind of low level and the kids play games. We don't know what video games are. Who are these companies anyway? That's not like that anymore, So I just feel like it's more out there. Sorry, John, you were saying.
The thing I keep coming back to as I heard this news and kind of took in people saying it was so many people too on top of this were saying, well, I had heard rumors, or, oh, I had heard stuff. And you heard a lot of people saying that they heard stories, and there were a lot of people. I had heard rumors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember where it came from, but I remember somebody telling me at one point, hey, one of these days the shoe's going to drop on Blizzard for this.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard things, and this is gonna fall for them too.
Yeah.
And it's just waiting for when. And this was so far beyond what I had even heard. Like, it's shocking. And so for players, whether you kind of knew it was coming, it's still a shock because it was so much worse than I thought. And then there are people who had no idea until right now. And like you said, it's a hard thing to deal with. We should be able to separate what we're doing and the positives of a video game and the positive relationships we've made in that video game. And we should be able to look at it and go, well, we came together and we created this show on the foundation of something. It kind of doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, but it exists separate from a corporate entity and their practices, and we should be happy for the good bits of that, and we should condemn the bad bits of that.
Well, yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that it impacts us, that we think about it every day, and there's a ton of players being impacted by that. So that's the whole reason why I just think, like, getting into the who's more or less of a victim here, it's a race downhill. It's not good. A lot of people are now victims because of the actions of ultimately a few by comparison. Yeah. And I think we all need to just come together and support each other and talk about it and try and find a way. You know, it's like dealing with an illness. You don't ignore it and have it get better. Yeah. You have to, even if it's painful, draw attention to it, look at it, deal with it, say, this is awful and terrible. We're going to punish it and get it out of here so we can actually have what we want.
Having sunlight on it is good. It's good and healthy to have sunlight on anything. And you know, you could argue that anytime this happens, it's the start of something better. But also there's a lot of money involved. There are, you know, it's complicated in a corporate way that makes things persist. That, you know, I don't know. I'm feeling so down about it that I don't really know what to think of it. But I can tell you this. This is the simple answer for me. I'm not playing any Blizzard games or buying any Blizzard games or subscribing to any Blizzard games anymore until they radically clean house. I'm just not going to do it. I can't do it. I can't in good conscience. Like, had I not just changed the focus of the instance to be broader MMO coverage like 2 weeks ago? Nice timing.
You'd be like, yeah. Okay.
I'd be out. I'd be saying, yeah, we're done. This is over. We're out of here. And I'm not, you know, in some ways I'm glad that we didn't, because I wanted to start doing that broader coverage anyway. But I can't do it. I just can't even do it. I'm not even buying Diablo 4 until they fix this. And that's like me saying, well, I'm not going to eat food. I love Diablo. You don't even understand how burned into my bones my love of Diablo is, and how it's one of the arterial veins that go to the heart of my gaming life, and has been since its inception, since Diablo 1 and 2 and 3. It's so important to me, but I'm not doing it. And I know it's only my $60, but I don't care. I don't have any other power in this. So I'm just not going to do it. It's not cool. I know too many amazing women at that company who I've worked with through multiple years, who were always the highlight of the interaction. They are so pro and so good at what they did, and so like the perfect best kind of ambassadors for that company possible. And I never, ever had anybody I dealt with where I went, oh boy, I wish somebody else was here. They were the best ones. It was the dudes who often sucked, okay? They were harder to work with or whatever. And I don't know what that says. I don't know what that means, but the fact that any of them are treated this way fires me up in a way I haven't been mad at in a long time. So the bottom line for me is this. I'm going to keep making content. Core is what it is now because we already pulled that camera out. We already do something different here. And this is part of the news cycle. We cover it and everything else. But I'm done until they fix it. If they fix it, great. And by fix it, I mean it needs to be transparent, and they need to be open, and they need to talk about it. I just hosted their freaking Q&A this February. Like, this is a company who the idea of me moving to some space away from them, it was unconscionably weird sounding in my head before now. Not after this. Now you can say, well, Scott, all of this is alleged until it's, gone through trial. Fine. I'll wait till that's all over and everything's done and I see some actual cleanup. They basically, in their response, admitted to it anyway and said, well, we've been doing better. but we really didn't do anything. Okay, now wait a minute. Which is it, Doublespeak Jones over there? Like, their response was shit. You think their response for BlizzCon and the firing of everybody, HTC ending, and all that stuff, you think those were bad messages? Go read Blizzard's lawyer's response to this lawsuit. Holy shit. Like, right now, F them. Honestly, F them. And that doesn't mean F the personal relationships that I still have in and without that company, and the friendships that I still have because of that company, including you guys. Like, again, it's a broad net. It's undeniable in my life how broad that net is. But I cannot give them another penny and any support until they fix this.
And Blizzard, if you would have asked me, I would have said Blizzard would have been the least likely to be in this situation, a few years, like, just based on outward appearances, right?
That's 90% of the problem, because did I completely lose my mind over Ubisoft? No, I went, no. Well, I know people up there, and I know that this is happening in that office, and they'll probably take care of it, and I'll still probably play Legion. I can't do this time because there is that baggage, Bo. It's like, I'm so turned off from any
AAA studio at this point. I just want to play indies.
No, like, that's the other thing.
I'm a little bit like, you know what, man? Like, because these are, like, we can use science that were made by bigots and still feel okay, and we can read great literature from problematic people in history. They're not really profiting from my experience of whatever it was they made that might have something worthy of me in experiencing it.
Right.
But these things are like casino. Like, I don't want to speak derisively about games, but they're like casinos in that they're, generators of revenue currently. So they are assholes lining their pockets while I'm enjoying
in
their
real time.
Their art. If I could just play the art, enjoy the art of the game without, it was just World of Warcraft and no one was making money off of it, or, wasn't this other thing. Even if it was made by terrible people in 1822. But it was great today, like, maybe it'd be okay. Yeah. But, like, by actively funneling money towards them in droves, I mean, I'm just feeling now more than ever that I really like video games, but I also really like being a good person.
Yeah.
And feeling like I'm funding, like, shitheads makes me feel like not wanting to do that.
Yeah. Now, part of me knows, and you know this, I'm sure, of course we do, that when we pay for a WoW subscription, we're also helping pay for a lot of employees to have to live their life. But at some point there just has to be one action you can take, and it's the only one I have. Right?
Well, very basic. You got to do what feels right, because that's the thing. I'll say it's a real easy thing for me to say I'm not going to buy anything from Blizzard for the foreseeable future, because they're not putting anything out that I particularly want until we get to Diablo 4. But and I was done with WoW a while ago. That was an easy bridge to burn. But I think that there are a lot of people that are in a very different position. I think there are a lot of people who just play the games and have found communities and friends and relationships and a way to communicate and connect to people through a video game, because it's a social video game, and those relationships are important to their life. And do I think those people need to give them up to send a broader message to Blizzard? I don't think so. I think you need to do what you're comfortable with. If you want to take a stand and you want to say, no, I'm done with Blizzard, screw that company, I'm walking away from it, they aren't going to see another dollar of mine, I completely get it. I think it makes a ton of sense. It's logical. If you're going to say, look, I still love their games and I hope the culture changes, but this means a lot to me, this is my escapism, this is my joy, this is my happiness, and there's a lot of good people in that company that still deserve support, that are trying to do good things, I support that too. You got to do what you feel right and comfortable with. And I don't think it's really our place necessarily, not that either of you two are doing this, but it's not our place to tell people what they have to do.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I prescribe nothing to anyone about any of this. Everyone do what you are going to do, because you're going to anyway, whether it aligns with what I'm going to do or not. But
that's why they're being held to account. They'll still,
I mean, the way what do you think? Okay, Bo, what do you think the chances are that either J. Allen Brack or Bobby Kotick even that this is enough. This one creates enough blowback, more than in BlizzCon, more than any of the others, all their other controversies over the years. This one has enough blowback on investors and their confidence that one or two or both of those dudes have to resign, and they got to get fresh leadership in there. Do you think that's possible?
I think they should resign, and they should bend over backward. Like, they need a complete rethink, but it's not likely to happen. I mean, they're making it really looks to me like it's based on even the salaries and wages that things are working, and that they know better how to make money than all the idiots like us who have great opinions but aren't running multi-billion-dollar video game companies.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, probably they retire. I don't think anyone going to be put up as a sacrificial lamb. Maybe.
Mm.
I wouldn't be surprised if Brack goes because of this.
You think so?
I wouldn't be surprised. For one, he's one of two people named in the lawsuit. Now, not in a damning way, like Afraziabi was. He gets named as basically like a person that a lot of these reports went to and less than stellar responses came from. So, if anything, the worst that the official court documents accuse him of is just not taking things seriously enough and not taking strong enough action to correct it.
Yeah.
But I think when you're one of two names on a document, that puts a big spotlight on you. And I think Blizzard's already in a pretty bad spot. So I can see there being hey, you're one of two sacrificial lambs. I mean, like you said, there's a good chance that Alex Afraziabi going was, a sacrifice of sorts. In fact, I have even heard that too. Was that
I'd also
he
heard
got
that,
offered he got offered up so that other people could continue to.
But it wasn't very public.
Get away with it.
No,
we
it
need
was
someone
very
in the
quiet.
we need someone a stone in the town square.
No, it was very
Right,
quiet.
yeah.
It was quiet to the point that
And-
I asked. Oh, I shouldn't talk about this. I'll just say I was in a meeting
Let's
where
not do that.
I was in a meeting where we were planning on some stuff, and I asked, "Wait a minute, where's Alex?" And I got a really weird response. So I'm not going to get into it. But the point is, like, yeah, there's probably stuff there, and I hope he gets subpoenaed out of that damn island and back here and has to freaking face something for this. I mean, this isn't a specific criminal target on him or anything. That's not how this
we
this
don't
works.
know that he did anything. Something's criminal. Like, that's going to be determined by court, right? And I guess the hope would be generically that justice is served to those who've really violated like the law.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whoever, like, we have the complaint is not, even though it looks detailed to us, it's not particularly detailed. Like, we're not being provided with specific smoking gun examples. I feel like that's going to come down the line.
Right.
As everything
If it does,
but
then
I
it
was
does.
thinking
If it
this is
doesn't,
very
this
broad,
is a
so,
civic matter
yeah.
for now. So yeah, you're totally right.
It's, it won't be the last we're hearing about it. That's the sad part. Is these headlines are now going to dominate about Blizzard for some time to come.
Okay, let's ask this question. Do you think there's ever a BlizzCon again? Not that I would go, because I wouldn't, not until they clean up, but what do you think the chances
my
are?
guess would
Especially
be
now
damage
that we
control.
know that was like the prime zone for a lot of this behavior.
Yeah, a lot of this showed up
yeah.
there, and that's where I always heard the rumors. It's also where I saw fishy stuff. It's where you just kind of felt weird sometimes about things, and I get that was like the breeding ground for a lot of those guys, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know if there is.
Community people too.
Yeah, of
I
course.
distinctly remember us going to that Blizzard meet and greet and us having I like to think of it as the cool guy couch, but it definitely had the feeling of, well, this is where the people who aren't trying to just hook up with random women are sitting.
Yeah.
I certainly had a much better time than I think they did, but I mean, you could see it. It was apparent. We all went there and we sat on a couch and talked about nerdy things and geeked out with all our friends and former employees there that we got along with, and watched a bunch of other people get plastered and flirt at the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the bar stuff was weird. I'm like, didn't I come to a nerd convention? Why are we at a bar? Like, I don't mean that right. Why aren't we playing board games? Like, you know, Nerdtacular is what I was expecting. It's got nerd in the name, and what did we do? We didn't go to a bar. We broke out all the tables and played board games for miles and miles as far as the eye could see.
Yeah.
I'm like, why this? You know. Anyways, it just
It's
seemed
a fair
dissonant
point.
to
I
me,
remember
but-
my first BlizzCon thinking, oh, there's a lot of this. Okay, well, it is what it is. Like it didn't bother me so much at the time, but it told me, you know, this is a convention where people rip loose, and it's not just.
Well, it's a business. Some people are probably the drinker type, so they want to go to the bar. Like, have that, I guess, for them. But it just seemed, I don't know. I definitely wasn't feeling it.
Chat room. Well, in Utah, you can't actually drink. That's horseshit. You can drink just fine here. Anyway, yeah. So whether they do or don't, whatever they do, the next few months will probably be illustrative of what the future holds. You know, it starts to, your brain can really go places. You can start saying, is this why Jeff Kaplan left in such a short huff? Is this why back in the day a bunch of other people couldn't wait to get out of there because they just felt like this was all falling apart, or there were problems they could control or whatever? Like
I always scratch my head over Ben Brode. I'm like, he's the voice of Hearthstone. He is beloved. Why would he leave and start his own company? He's in a giant world megacorp, and we love him. But were they part of this? Like, he's part of leadership of some teams where they just like, this place sucks, man. They're like super fratty, or bro, let's just leave and do our own. Like, not even just that they were feeling like they were part of it and left for danger, but just left because we want to make games, yo. Like, let me get the hell out of this dump.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I honestly, and this is where it gets iffy. I don't want to accuse anyone of anything. Like, again, we've said the names that are in the lawsuit. That's what we know. But I mean, for all we know, some of these leavings and starting new companies could be to continue that culture, because we don't know who was participating in it. Like, it could be to escape it. It could be to continue it because pressure was mounting to stop it, and like, hey, we want to keep things the way they were. So you just don't know, and that's part of why it's extra shitty, and people need to be able to bring this to attention, because people can't just keep moving around and getting away with it in other places. Yeah, it needs to be stamped out everywhere.
Frazarabi, I know I'm not saying it right. I wish his name was easier to say, because then we could just say it. But he I forgot what I was going to say now. It was good. I had a good he's been there since
guys, you're going to like this one.
He was you're going to love this one, guys. No, he was there in 2003. So right before and after WoW's big explosive moment. So we're not talking about people that were just there the last couple of years during this investigation. If I had to guess, again, it's a guess, but it seems like a lot of this stuff is like runs through deep and has been there for a long time. And that could implicate a lot of things. I could say that Morheim turned a blind eye to some of this behavior. It could say that, you know, do I think Morheim was out hunting for the ladies on bar hopping night? No, probably not. But indirectly, kind of in the jab kind of way, where it's like, oh yeah, that's not good. I'll talk to him, and then not really doing anything about it. Did that happen a lot? Probably. That's how this stuff goes on. Is people just sort of let it slide, and you know, he ended up getting promoted during this time. Eventually, getting a massive payout. And by the way, if Kotick does resign or is forced to resign, do you know what his payout is? No matter what that looks like, whether he quits on his own or they force him. Their prenup, basically, with him is somewhere to the tune of $269 million when he leaves, no matter what. No matter the reason, no matter the malfeasance, no matter the negative, positive, it doesn't matter. Almost $300 million just to walk out of there.
Yeah.
And everybody.
I don't think this comes back on Kotick, though. I think he is so far removed from any of this. Like, even if they tried, even if somebody was like, I'm going to take down Bobby, I don't think they're getting to him. I think these are isolated and separated enough from him to where
I don't know. They're the parent.
Considering the complaint focuses on the WoW team and Blizzard, the Blizzard house, that's all the more reason for Activision to come in and say, like, okay, guys, you fucked it up. Oops, sorry, but
no, you're fine because you're right.
Like we're taking it away from you, and now Bobby Kotick's making the Blizzard decisions. Thank you.
Yeah, this may finally push that.
And I see people saying it should fall on him as CEO. I'm not saying it shouldn't. I'm saying it won't. There's a difference between those two. I think he's separated enough from it. I don't think Bobby Kotick knows everything that's going on in Blizzard.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows a lot of what's going on in Blizzard. I've known CEOs of small companies where instead of 4,000 employees, and that's just the Blizzard side, it had 20 employees, and the CEO didn't have a freaking clue what was going on in that building. So I'm just saying, right or wrong, I don't think it's going to Bobby Kotick. I don't think this is the end of him because of this.
I don't think so either.
Plus, again, it's a monster payout. He made $115 million last year just existing there. Imagine.
And it's pervasive. They're going to pick a few sacrificial lambs, but they're going to protect their own as much as possible. And they're sycophants. I mean, that's just how all companies work.
Yeah, and if Jab goes, Jab will have that golden parachute. I promise you. He will have.
Some people go, get the golden parachute. The rest of the perpetrators will try to be less lechy, please, but still get to stay.
Yeah. I hate it. I hate all of it, and I hope.
Just remember, bigots and abusers, like everybody has labor rights. You know, so even the people, like, unless you've done something that clearly violates some sort of thing, like, they can be protected just as much as anyone else can.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, though, I'm going to try to have the attitude that sunlight is good, exposure is good, that it leads to better time, and that this can be salvaged. That may sound Pollyannish, but I know that I do that a lot with this sort of thing. I feel like a naive child when I hear about this kind of stuff. When I hear about the kinds of things people do to other people in the workplace, I feel like I'm on a different planet. I don't get it. I just don't understand. And these guys were my game. They were the top of the heap, man. They were my game heroes. They were up there on the top looking down on everything else. And it turns out that may have always been bullshit. So anyway, I think we've said
there were good people there. I think we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's just hard to see because companies they're not open. So we don't know. We can just guess. Try to find trustworthy sources and take their word for who was good and who wasn't, because it's a big ship, right? It's 9,500 employees. Like, some of them, just statistically speaking, when you're that size, there's going to be bad eggs. And if there's a bad egg in a leadership position, that's going to bring in more bad eggs. That's sort of what it looks like to me. Like, even if he was there since 2003, that bad egg encourages a certain type of behavior. Someone else has a different idea of what the culture should be. And then there's debate. And, in democracies, we love debate. So it's sort of seen as a good thing, but turds kind of seem to have won out here.
I also think if you have enough time to do this to some employee, your job doesn't have enough stuff to do. You know what I'm saying? I know it sounds weird, but like, it's no excuse, but like, if
they were given, like, I mean, in the complaint, they were just like, here's my work. You're a woman, take the work and let me go and play video games. Like, that's what's alleged in this complaint. And I don't disbelieve it. You know what I mean? Like, it's really awful. Like, I think it's pretty egregious based on what's there. And honestly, like, from the stories that women who have worked at Blizzard who are sharing on Twitter, and there's a lot of them, seems to have been fairly normal. And I feel really badly because, I mean, who cares about working at Blizzard? Work somewhere where people treat you with respect. I'm not telling them to. I'm just saying, like, everyone deserves a job where they don't have to endure these hostilities.
And it's not hard to
we're here to take care of each other.
It's not hard to not be a monster. Like,
we're just here to take care of each other. You want a job, then you want to, have a house. Like, so do that for other people. That's what people in leadership are supposed to do. Not supposed to be like, well, I'm a leader, so maybe if you do my work for me and let me give you a back massage, then you can keep your job. No, but I'm still gonna pay you less. Like that, it's like that's not what we're trying to dream of when we dream of a beautiful society, the democratic society that we live in. We just want everyone. No one goes to work because they want to endure bullshit. Like, they just want to work so they can feed their family, take care of their loved ones. Like, it's just not what anybody signs up for. Piss off with that shit.
Yeah, it's
already.
Bad. I think that's part of it. The other thing is this personal realization that I'm in a position where I don't have to worry about those things. I've never been a woman in a workplace who was discriminated against, treated poorly, sexually harassed, or otherwise. I'm a cis white male, kind of can exist and doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It just means I don't see this stuff. And so when it happens, I'm bowled over by it because I don't understand where the hell it came from. But if you ask any women out there, including my own daughters in their workplaces and in their school time and anything else, they've all had experiences. All of them have had something like this, something threatening, something awful, something they even kept to themselves, because that's how the rest of the world does everything. and I'm just kind of doop-a-doop-a-doo. Hey, everybody, check it out. I'm on Twitch. Like, it's just not.
Remember that the next time you're beating yourself up over something, because I have to do that too. I'm like, I've never once in 20 years of working done anything even close to this. I work with all women. Like, everyone in my office is pretty much like, we're one of two guys. Like, it, I'm very comfortable and don't need to do any of this at all. I come to work. I don't want people to mess with me, so I don't mess with them in any way. We're here to work and focus on the work, and then go home and do some other shit on our own time. It's a respect thing. It's having respect for other human beings. You're not, whether it's a gender thing or not. I realize it's a gender issue, but it's just respect for another human being. If we went on the show and I was like, Scott, can I just borrow your hard drive? I'm going to send you 500 pictures of penises. I just need you to hold them for me. You'd be like, dude, we just do a podcast together. I don't want to hold on to your penis pictures. Right? Like,
Right, I don't want that. I really don't.
Yeah, even Scott had the courtesy of deleting the penis picture he sent us.
Right.
And that was of somebody else's penis.
Right, that was somebody else's penis.
But we gave him permission. He asked
Right.
permission again.
Yeah.
He was like, you guys are coworkers. Do you want to see Steven Dorff's penis? We're like,
Yeah.
okay.
To be
just
fair,
show it.
though, I said no.
Oh, even here, we're not exempt. Oh my God.
Oh, Steven Dorff's penis. I knew that would come back to haunt me, that thing. All right.
It's haunting. Let me tell you.
Well, this is as good as any time to move on for the subject, but I can, maybe just as a warning to those who listen to both this and the instance, tomorrow John is joining me as a guest host while Garrett's still out of town. That poor guy. All this stuff's happening while he's on vacation. John will be there tomorrow, and we're going to discuss why Final Fantasy XIV is experiencing such explosive growth and interest right now, and how that relates to the rest of the MMO business. But we'll bring this up again, and we'll talk about some of these aspects again, because that show is a place where that's just going to happen. So just letting you know, some of this you may hear, again, or parts of, or, whatever. If we've destroyed your mind on it tonight, then maybe skip the first part of that episode. I don't know. But
Yeah.
watch for that tomorrow at 12:30 Mountain Time, where John will be joining me live. All right, let's move on to this story. New World, it came out in beta, closed beta, although kind of open beta if you bought it, right? If you bought the game, pre-ordered it, they let you in. That was the deal.
Yeah, I think you had to get the deluxe version, maybe. I don't know.
Something like that.
If you bought it, you could play it,
Right.
basically.
And some people got it just because they got codes or whatever. I had a listener, Kevin, who was like, hey, I have an extra one of these. They basically just say, here's your code, and give one to your friend. And he didn't say, I don't have a friend, but he basically said, hey, do you want to be that friend? I said, sure, I'll give it a shot. And that was like the day before. So I wasn't actually planning on playing it, but once I got it, I was able to get in. John, I know you had some time in it, and we'll talk about the game. Maybe we'll talk about it now. This is as good a time as any.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So the main story here is that it started bricking certain GTX 3090 cards. Specifically, if you dig down, you find out these are the ones made by EVGA, a very popular third-party manufacturer that makes NVIDIA cards. And their 3090 version of the 3090, they started bricking for various people. And they narrowed it down, they think, to uncapped frame rate in the game, which the game supports. And as a result, today they put a hot patch up that basically locked the frame rate at some level. And you could still go manually remove it, but they were, did it as a way to say, look, if you have a 3090, maybe leave that capped at 60 or whatever the frames were. Otherwise, we think maybe this is tied to that. And it has something to do with the circuitry and the way the heat management happens on that particular manufactured card. It sucks because that's a really expensive card.
Yeah, that's and hard to get, as a matter of fact. So even if you were like, oh man, my video card bricked, good luck replacing it, because it's.
And you know
that
what,
sucks.
John? You know what's harder to
sucks.
find than a video card at all is a replacement for the one you burned. So maybe don't run uncapped on that thing. I mean, I've already played all I'm going to play until it comes out, but I was intrigued by it. I found it interesting from a couple of angles. Mainly, if you're looking for an MMO that is very crafting focused, this thing is your party town, man. Like, this is like the first things you do in the game. Like, the tutorial's like, yeah, go whack a couple things and run around for a second, but really get over here and make a bunch of shit. And you do. You just like are making and learning how all those systems work. And it's pretty good. I think it's a well-made crafting system, but the game is just littered with it. It's literally on the ground. There are things you're supposed to be picking up all the time, kind of like a survival game.
Yeah.
And it's clear that this game at one point was leaning more that direction and less traditional MMO like it is now. What did you think of the game in your time in there?
So I'm kind of mixed on the game, honestly. I think the bones of the game are really good. Like, I think there's a good foundation, so I think there's a lot of potential for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a word I would use a lot. If you get in and you're intrigued, I think it's worth sticking with to some degree, because I think the stuff that is most important to the core of the experience is good.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself really liking the way the game controlled and played. I found myself generally thinking the graphics were pretty good. Like you said, the crafting system is actually really good. Picking stuff up, being able to interact with the environment and feel like you're making an impact on it, like all that stuff is good, and that stuff's important. Although it has the dinkiest jump I've ever seen in a video game.
It's really dinky.
The tutorials like press space to jump over obstacles. I was like, what obstacle? I didn't make it over this tiny stream of water that you gave me the prompt next to.
Yeah.
I couldn't clear it. But so I think at its core, what's there is solid. And I think if you're into games that are kind of more those survival games where you're crafting a lot and all of that, I think this might be a very intriguing MMO for you to move in the direction of. So I think it's going to have its audience too.
Yeah.
Here's the things I don't like about that game, besides the jump.
Go for it.
One, it suffers from Elder Scrolls art style a little too much, in my opinion.
I wondered if this was going to be a part of this. Okay.
It looks bland as shit. Like, every time I got a new item, I was more bored than the item that came before it. Like, the closest thing to a cool looking item was that, like, kind of conquistador mask that the guy's wearing at the beginning.
Oh.
Like, that thing does look pretty cool and has a little level of art to it. But everything else is just it's like going to the Renaissance fair. Like, it looks like people just dressing up in period piece costumes, and I hate the look of it. Like, there's just no style. And like, even on your fantastical creatures, because it's got like kind of quasi zombies, like, okay, it's blue mucky humans, and like, oh, there's black clouds and red lightning, and I just don't think any of that stuff looks impressive. It falls into what I consider Elder Scrolls art, which is we went for a realistic aesthetic, therefore all of our art style is boring.
I think that's
I think Elder Scrolls is more interesting.
I agree.
We all know how I feel about Elder Scrolls. So.
I agree with this. That's funny because I don't disagree with you. I think that the game looks better, or sorry, the Elder Scrolls looks better than this game, and didn't expect that here. Now, as far as like the environments, like, it's a lot more lush here. We got a lot of moving grass and trees that move, kind of some of those things. So I think the world itself looks okay, but characterization and stuff, for me, it just looks too much like, hey, it's old explorer time. This doesn't look like fantasy time to me. This looks like, hey, people are into those survival games. What if we made one about the 1700s? And that's what these people look like to me. And I don't like that either. I'm not a huge fan of the look. So you and I agree, actually, on this point. I also think the combat's really bad. I think the combat is really bad. And I'm surprised by that because the combat in Elder Scrolls, as its closest comparison, because it uses the third person aiming stuff. It's very similar in that way. It does a way better job than this with combat. The combat here is bad. And I don't love it.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I didn't actually hate it, but it didn't. I didn't go, oh yeah, I can't wait to play hours and hours of this. Mm-hmm. But it felt okay. I would say, I mean, you've put a lot more time into Elder Scrolls than me.
Yeah.
They felt comparable to me.
Yeah.
But I thought it was okay. Like, I found myself because of how the game played,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to go back to it when I was done with my playtime with
Same,
it.
same.
And I was like, I kind of want to go in and just, beat some stuff up, and it kind of feels good to hit Q and do a big rush shield slam. Like, that kind of felt good. But I also see what you mean. Like, it's not hard hitting. It's a little floaty and a little,
Yeah, that's the good way of saying it. It is a little floaty. Floaty. That's how a lot of this feels, is floaty. And like I said, look, like chat, you're looking at this video. That's some really nice environmental stuff. That's nice. The lighting, the water's really bad. Like I mentioned, the water's bad. Bad water tech. But the overall fighting of it might look on the surface of it like, oh, well, that's just Elder Scrolls. And it kind of is. But Elder Scrolls has had some time to refine that. It just feels better. Having played that more recently, I think that jumped out at me. Overall, though, I think I'm getting this. And there's no subscription, so, I don't really have much to lose. And the other thing I was going to say, I really like the interface. I like the UI stuff. The upgrade screens, the crafting screens, just really straightforward, clean, nice aesthetic to that stuff, I think.
I thought it had a good look, but maybe I've been just too used to smaller ones. Everything felt blown up. So I was playing in 4K, and yet somehow all my windows, all the windows in that game were a size that was like, am I playing on 800 by 600? Why does this take up my entire screen?
Yeah.
Why everything just felt a little too large on the UI front.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a terrible thing. I don't have great eyes. I got glasses. So there's a part of me that appreciated it. I was like, oh, I can see it. But I just couldn't get past this. Like, it had an old, like, back in the day where everything took up the entire screen kind of feel when the UI got pulled up.
It's definitely something they're doing. The UI elements fill the screen, and I don't know why I like it. Something about it reminds me actually of Wildermyth of all things. There's like just an easy way to pull everything up and go, oh, that's that. Okay, click that, do this. Like it's not all tiny little text wrapped up in little intricate fantasy art. There's just something big and easy to use about it. Maybe it's a little too big, maybe a little too Fisher Price.
To make it easy is this for consoles too?
It is going to be on consoles, so yeah, I would assume that's
probably
of it.
Designed somewhat with TVs in mind.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
That could be.
I mean, Elder Scrolls does that with. They basically have two interfaces. They have the PC interface. Well, so does Final Fantasy 14. The PS4, PS5 interfaces is rather different than the default one, but even more so in ESO. And this one looks like it'll probably share a lot of those elements. And I did use a controller for a bit and went back and forth, and it didn't change much. The interface seemed like it was meant to work for both. So, but yeah, I'm going to play it. Nothing in here yet has made me go, oh, the character in this story. Like, I'm not feeling any of that yet.
Yeah, this seems like, so there's kind of a few schools of thought with MMOs, and I think the weapon system actually speaks to this too. And that is, you have one where it's kind of like, here's your open world, go explore with friends. Mm-hmm. And this definitely feels like it falls into that camp. Mm-hmm. And then you have like Final Fantasy, which is super heavily narrative driven, and they're going to tell you a story. And this feels about as far away from that as it can possibly be, which is nice because I mean, you don't want to feel like you're just playing the same game. It's part of the reason why I'm glad we're kind of getting away from the era of WoW clones, where everybody's just trying to do World of Warcraft slightly different. And so I kind of appreciate that my time in this didn't feel like my time in Final Fantasy. They felt like two distinctly different products, but as a result, I don't have a lot of high hopes that I'm going to be told an interesting story, especially because the most interesting thing I fought was woodland creatures.
Like a deer,
like a bear,
like bears, a deer, and
boars,
wolves, boars.
Yeah.
Like there was a zombie man. Like they start you with zombie men, but then you evolve into just like druid familiars, and it's like, okay.
They're druid familiars, except they're just the animals. Like, there's nothing magic about it.
There's no druid.
There's no druid. They're just druid forms without the druid. I mean, basically, the bear, the first bear I killed, the whole point was to skin it and get the points for that. And again, I cannot emphasize this enough. The game is really about crafting. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not even normally a crafting guy. I don't like that in most MMOs. I don't like the systems. I really enjoyed it here. I had fun finding shit and going, all right, go make one of these now. Because I'm not building a home camp. That'll be part of what you contribute to on a city level. It's part of this systems game or this game systems. But it's not like, all right, I got to build my house and then my bed. No, it's nighttime. I'm going to die in here. This isn't a survival game in that traditional sense. It's very much an MMO in that traditional sense. But they've included this stuff where, Bo, you'll walk through the forest and you look down, it'll say, pick up flint, pick up flint, pick up flint, like all this flint on the ground. And you can grab a bunch of flint, and you want to chop that tree down? Cool, you got an axe. Go chop that tree down, and that axe wears out over time, so you better have another one, and go make another axe if you don't have one, and then lots of random loot drops, and yeah, I mean it's one of those. It's that. I don't want to overemphasize it, but I think that is the emphasis of the game.
Yeah, I mean there are people who like that. Valheim was a big hit, which I kind of wish I played it more, but there are people who enjoy. That's a game type that for some people is enjoyable.
Yeah. The Valheimers
resources, building your own stuff, like
the Valheimer people. I don't know what they call themselves. Valheimers? Is that okay to call them that? It's fine,
I think so. Valheimers.
Valheimer.
Maybe it's Valheimer.
They will like that aspect of this, whether they like all the other trappings, because it's not a survival game. You die and you can respawn, and it's an MMO. You're meant to just.
People are saying it sounds a lot like Black Desert Online, which I could totally see. The crafting in that game is also very emphasized.
Oh yeah. Have you heard about Sword Fanny? Oh, I have to ask you about this.
Sword Fanny?
Not Sword Fanny.
Sign me up.
Hold on.
Sword Art Online?
Oh, damn it. Let me find it. It's called, I got a key and I haven't installed it yet. And I wanted to ask the chat and you guys if you had heard of, here it comes, Swords of Legends Online.
No, but I see they use the game name generator.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be one of those, but really good.
Is that on Steam? Is that like the new thing? I feel like I saw it advertised heavily on Steam.
It is on
Steam.
Steam.
Is that possible?
Yeah, it is on Steam.
Yeah.
It describes itself as a visually stunning MMORPG, 6 available classes, each with 2 different roles, fast-paced action combat system, so it's an action RPG kind of system for fighting, exciting story-driven gameplay and voiced cutscenes, tons of dungeons and different difficulty levels, gripping endgame content with epic PvP battles, huge selection of flying mounts, and extensive housing system. And it's it's like one of these Korean MMOs. I'm going to play it because I want to know.
Well, I mean, give it a try. That definitely looks Black Desert Online-ish.
Yeah.
But not quite as... I don't look
what
quite
was
as good,
the name? Sword of Legends Online?
Sword of Legends
Swords
Online.
of Legends. Swords of Legends.
I think this one would be, because I'm seeing it's a Chinese developer.
Oh, is it Chinese?
I think Black Desert's Korean developers.
Yeah, I'm going to
get Japan, I'm sure, has its version as well. Like, not that it's a bad thing. It's just, it does definitely have distinct Chinese aesthetic to it now that I pay attention.
Yeah. It looks okay.
That's what I'm seeing here. It looks, I mean, very graphically. If you just don't tell me what game genre this is, and you present what I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, it's crazy. It looks amazing.
Yeah,
very
it's
imaginative.
It's pretty. So,
this is what I want when I see something that is like going for a realistic look, but I want some art style to it. So for anybody that ever wonders why I harp on games, it doesn't have to look exactly like this, but this is a game that's definitely not going for the cartoony vibe, but they actually have some art aesthetic to the world,
some stylization.
The high tier stuff, like high tier armor sets that they're showing in the trailer, look pretty awesome too. But they'll always worry with what we call these Eastern MMOs.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe like they're full of gotcha mechanics, like just buying loot boxes or weird non-traditional, like go to a dungeon, get a cool item thing, but grind 5 of these. Try to combine them together, have a random chance to fail, so you have to get 5 more, like that kind of shit. Like, I worry that's, it's more prevalent, I find, in Eastern MMOs than Western.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give it a shot and see if it's, I don't even know what this key's for.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, it's for the collector's edition, so I guess I get extra stuff, but I get a assassin costume, some fiery wings that make me fly, and then a fancy housing bundle, they call it. Fancy housing bundle.
Give me your fancy housing bundle.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
It could be really good. I mean, who knows? Because I guess the title would also be a translation. So maybe in Mandarin the name's super awesome and we just get a bad title.
And we're all looking forward to at least trying that Lost Ark thing in December, right? I am.
Lost Ark, I mean, mainly on the strength that I want a Diablo that I want to sink hours into.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I want it to be really good because I might not get Diablo 4 if Blizzard can't figure their shit out.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I didn't care so much because I was like, oh, and then Diablo 4 is coming. But now I might really need this game.
I don't even know. I don't think I even want that remaster until they need to. We've been through all this, but yes, please fix your shit. That's what we're saying. All right, so there's that New World. John and I played it. It's out. Watch your 3090's ass because it might burn up. And that game comes out the 4th of August, by the way, so it's soon.
Yeah.
And there's no subscription. It is a one-time purchase, and you play a giant open-world MMO. Although it is server-based, so you got to pick servers and all that. Or not servers, just regions, right? Or is there servers?
No, there's servers.
Are there?
on.
I wish they were all. Okay, my favorite way that MMOs can work is EVE Online and ESO. They both have unified single. They're multiple servers, but you don't have to choose one. You're just all in the world. It's one giant mega world. Yeah, you're a mega world. That's what I wish all these games were. The day we can stop choosing a server, the sooner we'll be better people.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
That needs to be the future. All right. Good news, Bo. I thought of you as soon as I heard this. EA had an event today, a digital event, and they are remaking, not adding on to or building a sequel for, but remaking Dead Space from the ground up. Woo! Next gen console, next gen consoles and PCs only. What do you think? First of all, what do you think about it being a remake and not a full blown?
So I think the same thing as everyone else. Visceral Games did a great job making the Dead Space games, and they shit canned that studio. So I don't know who's making it.
Yeah.
So I pray to, fingers crossed, I want this to be amazing, because then I'll be happy. And if it sucks, it'll be, they disbanded, big corporation disbanded a thing, and then shit all over a franchise. But what I saw looked pretty good. It was very little.
Yeah. But
I really like the Dead Space franchise. So if they've got the right talent behind this project, I'm very, very excited. I think they nail these the spaceship isolation aesthetic great. It feels like Alien films, but its own unique world. The limb cutting mechanic is great. It's slow and methodical, chopping off limbs. It has great jump scares. I love being in 0G and having to put my helmet on and go out into space and just be terrified the whole time in space.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, it's my favorite place for horror is space.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so Dead Space was like, they made a game that felt like a space horror film, but also a game, and I love it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't be happier, honestly. Like this took me by surprise.
There were some rumors that this was going to happen, and so I was feeling like I wasn't too horribly surprised, but I had a little feeling happen when, what's the character's name?
Isaac Clarke.
Isaac Clarke.
I think it's Clarke.
His name is so boring.
Isaac Clarke.
When Isaac Clarke, or when it shows the room where you can't really even see what figure that is, but then you see his back life bar thing that he's so famous for come on, I got excited. I got all weird.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny we haven't seen more of that. They tried to get rid of the HUD by making the HUD elements display on the back or come out of his wrist, like they pop up, and the waypoints even shoot out. Like, it was really good at saying we don't want to have a lot of UI because we want you to be immersed. Like, graphically, it was cutting edge for its time.
Mm-hmm.
Funny story, I installed Dead Space on my Xbox like 2 days ago because I'm like, I think it's time for a playthrough. So it's pretty odd timing. I was just like, I think I'm going to replay through the trilogy, and then bam, we get this news today.
Yeah.
They made a lot of aesthetic gameplay choices that I'm surprised we haven't seen replicated more. Like the no HUD, where it's all in the back. It just really adds a lot to the immersion element when you're just you don't have these UI things reminding you're playing a video game.
Yeah.
I'm ecstatic for this game. Hopefully it's not filled with microtransaction. Hopefully they don't EA it up, but it sounds like maybe they've turned a corner in recent times with some of this, because I think some headlines lately.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about EA moving away from the whole microtransaction the hell out of everything. So maybe this might be a new era for the company. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, this feels like a return to a big single player focused game.
Yeah. I just please make it good. We'll let bygones be bygones. Please don't have a bad work environment and make me not want to buy your game.
Yeah.
And I am stoked.
Yeah.
For this.
I am too. I don't know. I don't even like horror games. They scare me, but I'll play this.
It's like an execution, right? Like on paper, it could be any scale of good to bad, but Dead Space really executed, I find, more right than wrong, even when they did some things a little wrong on the third one.
I agree. John, that's a game you'll play, yeah?
Yeah, I love Dead Space 1 and 2 are some of my favorite horror games ever made. I think it being a remake is, from the ground up is really good because I think Dead Space does show its age a little bit when you go back to it now.
Mm-hmm.
But that game at the time was really, really revolutionary and one of the scariest things I had ever played. And I'm just so excited. I mean, Dead Space 2 will forever be one of my favorite video games of all time.
Really
I
good.
loved Dead Space 2. Yeah. And so if they can bring this up to kind of that level of quality, I'm excited for it because it's a franchise that didn't deserve to die.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a franchise that you look at what they did with the third one. I know Bo likes it, but you look at what they did with the third one and it's like, why'd you guys intentionally kill your franchise?
Yeah.
It just seems like such a misguided decision with the way they went. I can't speak to the actual quality. I didn't play it, but that's a big part of because I saw what it was and went, I have no interest in that and didn't play it.
It got okay. It got hit with the EA whip, like as part of the whipping boy. It was a whipping boy for EA because of the microtransactions they did put in the game.
Yeah.
And definitely a bad move, but like the environment, like going to the winter planet, like there's a great sequence where you're in a ship that crashes and the front window of the ship explodes in and all the air gets sucked out. And then you spend some time there's this sort of shipyard of dead shipwrecks and you're floating between ship and to ship trying to survive and there's aliens in all of them. And it's a really cool sequence. And then you land on a winter planet and you're in the thing all of a sudden. Like, it's too bad because I think the game, like that entry was a really good entry as well.
Yeah.
A ship graveyard. Thank you, Simon.
A ship graveyard, if you will.
I could have just said 2 words and I said 500, but
Hey. Yeah. Some quick credit.
I mean, you swear by it. Kyle swears by it. I trust both of you, so I think there's a good chance that I slept on something that was actually good. But it was right around the same time that game series Fear also decided to do a third episode where it's like, what if we made it co-op? And that one did not receive as good of critical acclaim. Yeah. So it was a case of just like, oh, they're gonna just ruin every horror franchise now by making it co-op. I guess I'm not interested.
The co-op was unnecessary, but in the case of Dead Space, still well executed. It's just a game's not as scary when you're playing with a buddy. Just because you can diffuse the tension. It just doesn't.
I agree.
Yeah, because you're having dumb fun. As soon as you bring in your friend, even when it's serious, everybody who ever did co-op Gears of War got up to dumb stuff with their friends. That's just what you do when you have a buddy in a game. And the isolation is part of what makes video games scary. So I hope this relaunches Dead Space because I think that game legitimately has a very cool universe and feel. And
let's hope it's not a 4-player Dead Space thing. You and 3 of your buddies can progress through the Ishimura.
Yeah,
if it's that, no thanks.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. By the way, did you guys remember the anime they had during the heyday of Dead Space? It was like,
I watched it.
I loved that.
I never seen that actually.
And also, there was a Wii game that was on rails, but it was like a shooter on rails.
A light gun game, I think.
Yeah, that was freaking fun. It wasn't super scary or anything, but it was a fun romp through that world, that ship.
I think it's on Xbox Game Pass. Like, you can get all 3. I was just like, oh man, I can play the whole Dead Space series.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe I'll stream it since I own it on PC. So,
well, the other thing is they need more inventory, but this is a problem with most horror games. So whatever. Yeah. I remember
you didn't have that problem with Resident Evil Village, though.
No,
I told
Village,
you wouldn't.
Village was very kind on the inventory front. I was surprised by that. I never had a problem, although I did play it on easy or whatever. But I never had it.
Actually, I'll say this: playing it on easy, you were probably more likely to have an inventory problem because you accumulated ammo more.
Oh, that's true.
You gathered more stuff than most people.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So, but I mean, they did. Like, inventory in Resident Evil Village is a piece of cake. It's not a problem.
I feel like sending them a thank you letter because I hate that about war games.
I
know it's supposed to add to the creepiness, but I don't think you need it. I think you can take that one part and make it that easier, and then make everything else ramp up the scary, and it's not any less scary because your inventory's big. Like, I've never understood that. That's stupid. But anyway, we'll see what they do. Modern sensibilities applied to Dead Space. Bring it on. Let's see what you got. Battlefield Portal. Finally, the great minds at Valve and EA are coming together to put blue or orange and blue portals. Oh no, it's not that at all. Sorry, I hope I didn't.
I was excited there because I believed you.
I believed you too. I was like, that's not a bad idea. It might be cool.
It could be cool, but that's not what it is. Battlefield Portal is basically it's a game mode in the game, this upcoming 6. But it is kind of interesting. So the headline is it brings past games powerful creative tools to 2042, which is the new game, or 6 is for 2042. Anyway, so we knew that was coming. It was going to up the ante with 128 player matches, all that stuff, dynamic weather, big time destructible stuff, all that business. But the big surprise is this. It's a little bit like Fortnite's creative mode, essentially. It's this robust web-based editor tool that allows players to create custom matches. The bigger surprising thing is it allows players to mix and match assets from other Battlefield titles. So you could take stuff from Bad Company 2, for example, and add other weird shit in there. It's just customization in the multiplayer arena that kind of is beyond anything else I've ever seen. So
it's like a level editor, essentially.
Yeah, kind of. And all those assets and stuff you just kind of go nuts with and do it very quickly. It's not like you need to be some kind of level building genius to do it. Laura Farrell in the chat says, do we need another Fortnite? This isn't Fortnite. This is just tools to make multiplayer in the already, robust world of Battlefield 2042 multiplayer.
It's a team-based multiplayer shooter.
Yeah, so that's what that is. So, for example, let's see. They walked these guys through the process of creating a match. You set up sniper versus shotgun modes. For example, ripple effects set different rules for each team. One would only spawn with a sniper rifle and have their sprint disabled, while the other team got to run, but they only could have shotguns. So, like, a lot of mutatory ideas.
Well, I'm watching the trailer here, and they have one match where people have, when you have a heart attack, the electroshock thing, you put the pads. Yeah. So one team all have dialysis machines.
Defibrillator.
One team has all defibrillators, and the other team has all knives.
Right.
And that's the match. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. You can see where there'd be some fun in here.
It's really silly.
It seems dumb, but it seems like a major dumb in a good way. I don't mean in a bad way.
It's dumb fun. Like, that seems. I mean, I would play in a match like that. Like, that's interesting.
Yeah. Everybody seems to be trying to bring to the stage right now a way to kind of get into the customization, which is weird because it was such a big deal back in the 90s when you were playing like Unreal Tournament and stuff like that, and everything was low grav, facing worlds, insta-gib on, and you were just like, yeah, these are the modifiers I play with. And then even Counter-Strike, like, everybody had their favorite maps, and some were official and some were created, and they got passed around. But we kind of are making our way back to that, which is interesting because for a while it felt like it was going to be gone because everything got locked down so hard by companies. Because I still remember the days where if you were playing Counter-Strike, people, you could just download naked images of things and put them up on walls to distract people in that game, and everybody who was playing that match saw it because it was the Wild West, and that's how it worked. And we got to a place where everything got locked down, that kind of that creativity got stifled, and now we're slowly making our way back.
Yeah, that's good. I think this is a good thing. It reminds
me
of
destructible environments. The end of the trailer shows a giant tower falling over.
Oh yeah. That game is
destructible environments would change everything.
They're really neat in this game. That's the one thing I like about the Battlefield games. I'm not really one for the giant wars or the 128 players. It seems like chaos to me, but the actual destructibility of everything is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Mayhem is good. Like, I definitely enjoy Mayhem in games. So
I also like Mayhem. Mayhem's very nice. Pokemon Unite also happened. I'll just tell you
I
my
gotta
time.
learn about this thing, man.
Yeah, I'll tell you my time.
It really is a MOBA.
It's truly a MOBA, and I would actually say, I really mean this when I say it, I'm not just saying this. It has more in common with Heroes than any of the other MOBAs. And by that I mean kind of the philosophy. It's like, hey, we don't need to adhere to every MOBA rule that exists. We don't have to have item shops. We don't have to have last hit, and we can do things differently in terms of like how do our characters progress.
Is it last Pokeballing?
No. Well, no. I mean, if you're near the Pokeballs that fall, you pick them up.
Okay.
But you're not. It's not a giant gain for you personally. It's a gain for the team because the balls are used to throw into this hoop that is. So instead of having like the first tower to fight and take down and then move to the next tower or fort or whatever, it's a hoop to throw these balls in. So if you go collect 10 balls by killing mobs and maybe another player, and they've all dropped their balls, you go throw it into this hoop, and now that hoop is at 20 of 60 balls that need to go into it before you can get past it. Those hoops also act as healing stations for the opposing team. So do yours on your side. So you can stand in them and do slow heal over time stuff.
And they give you a speed boost if you go past it, so you can get away better, and they slow your opponents.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the tactical edge that you want them for, because they don't operate like towers. They don't like blast you for getting too close, but they do give a big tactical advantage or disadvantage depending on who controls it.
Right. And if you so you literally could go like into one of those with the opposing team, he'll heal up in there at a very consistent rate, and you might still be pounding away at him, but you're not healing at all. You're just taking damage. The other guy's healing. So you don't want to do that. You want to get the F out of there. But a lot of the other rules apply. Like the mobs are, you do the whole, what do you call it when you, I've forgotten the terms for all of this, but like if you wanted Vala to sort of stutter step, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
You can do all that stuff. Like it's all, those kinds of mechanics are in there for the range characters.
On the Switch controller. Yeah,
on a controller. And it's all built for controller, and it feels great. No issues there. The abilities are cool. The more you kill stuff and get more balls, the more you get your character to level during the game. So instead of levels, you evolve. So you've turned from your original whatever the Charizard is when he starts as a Charizard.
Yeah, so you're a Charmander. And then mid game you'll turn into a Charmeleon, and then by the end you'll be a Charizard.
Yeah, I'm terrible at these names, but yes, I did that very thing in the tutorial, and he by the end is big dragony dude with really powerful abilities that I've upgraded, and through those upgrades you get to choose. It's usually an A or B. So it's like, hey, do you want to have area of effect and then the fire also stays on the ground, or do you want this other option which does something else? And you just quickly decide with the D-pad which one you're gonna upgrade that ability to. It's short. The games are like, I don't know, 5-6 minutes. It's built to be short.
Really?
Yeah, it's built to be fast. So you never feel like you're in there for 50 minutes or whatever. And it might be the tutorial missions were 5 minutes. I don't know if the actual bigger missions are, because I don't remember when I was playing them if it went longer than that. But it's rad. It's freaking rad.
Yeah, looks really good.
It's really well made. Yeah.
I watched Kyle play some because he was streaming it, and I've had a morbid curiosity with this game, and I am a big Pokemon fan, so I was probably going to be interested in this no matter what, but I was mostly ignoring it until I found out that the game takes place on a thing called Eos Island.
Yeah.
And I have had my character name in WoW since that game came out as Eos. So I keep seeing my WoW character's name all over the place now. Kyle does a freaking podcast with my WoW character's name in it, and it's driving me crazy. It would be like if all of a sudden they're like, play the new Pokemon Snap, go to Gerp Island. You'd be like, what is going on? Why are we on Gerp Island? Like that's kind of how I'm feeling. So I was fascinated. I needed to know more about why my WoW character is now a Pokemon related thing. But I watched it and I was like, this looks great.
Yeah.
This looks amazing.
Yeah.
I'm super into this. So
the art's really good.
I'm going to probably play it.
Yeah, you should. The art's good. The animation's good. The abilities are cool looking. The ultimates are really rad. It's a very polished looking product, which you cannot say about a lot of MMOs on mobile or console type arrangements. I don't know what I was expecting, but it's also free. I don't know if I mentioned that. So you don't have to pay for this thing. You just get it.
Oh, yeah. It's free. Yeah.
And there's like 20 Pokemon like right away that you can just start messing with. And I don't know. I didn't expect for this to be maybe my favorite gaming thing of the week, but it kind of became that. So it's rad. It's very good. Oh, and by the way, there's no ultimate. The timer's everything. So when the game times out, it's like in regular MOBAs,
baskets.
Right? So it's a points thing, but there's no cap. So you could have 1 million points and the game's still ending at 5 minutes. So I don't know what that means for games that get overblown, where one team is just like snowballed the other team. I don't know, but
it definitely is, because it doesn't seem to have minion lanes. It definitely feels more like a Heroes Brawl.
Yeah, a little bit more like that.
Yeah.
There are minions,
it's
but
kind of like you're playing in the jungle is sort of what it feels like. There's just enemies kind of feels like everywhere, and there are sort of lanes, but I don't know, it's really weird.
Yeah, the lanes.
I don't know, like it definitely looks like like a lot of the abilities seem to feel like MOBA abilities. It's not just a top-down thing where you just attack with the attack button. That's as simple as that.
Yeah,
there's bosses. I mean, this is Heroes of the Storm Pokemon.
Kind of, yeah.
It really has a feel, just even with the way the health bars are and stuff. Like, it's its own unique design, but I'm getting more than a League vibe. I'm getting way more of a Heroes vibe from this.
Yeah, same. Dota. I was surprised by that. I don't know what I was expecting, and you choose a trainer.
This is like it's not a MOBA. It's a hero brawler. Like that's what this looks like.
Brawler.
Like,
yeah.
If I was a hardcore League of Legends guy, I'd probably call this like, people are willing to forgive Pokemon and accept things because they like the Pokemon brand. But this, if you like shat on Heroes, but then like playing this game, you are a hypocrite.
Yeah, you are. You're a freaking hypocrite. I agree. For some reason, Naughty's Schnick in the chat, whatever his name is, says the new update to RimWorld is amazing. So you guys know. Did they make it not look like ass? Because that would make it better. Because that game
would
looks
be
like
the
ass.
best update.
Jeez, wow.
It looks so bad, and I'm sure it's filled with amazing everything. But
everything I hear about it is amazing. But I'm like, I just can't. I don't like the style.
I hate it.
Here's a fun preview. It's today's Dear Martha.
Wow.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Now Ziggurat says, "You guys like pixel art? We're not RimWorld." No, I don't like I don't like garbage art. It's bad.
Whatever that you call that. Prison Architect's the same way. I couldn't play it because I was like, I just can't do it. I don't like it. It looks too much like a web-based.
Yeah, it's poo.
What is it? That Newgrounds
I own
stuff?
RimWorld, but it was too much for me to learn. I didn't want to devote the time, and
like
it seems like it would be.
Shockwave.
It seems like it would be really cool because I can get over the art style.
It does feel like, oh, was this originally put on Newgrounds and now it's a game? Like,
it's my Newgrounds animation. It's a video game.
Oh boy. All right. Yeah, the art style is very low effort, says Tondergo. So that's how I feel about it.
Maybe by design, given all the variability in it, it might be necessary. But
it might be.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Because look, we all gave Wildermyth a pass for looking the way it does because of what it does, and by all accounts, RimWorld kind of does the same thing.
Mm-hmm. No, you're
but
right.
I do think Wildermyth looks better than
for the kind of game it is. It's fine. It's fine.
Give me a code. I'll try it.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot. Speaking
not
of
you guys, the developers.
I'm excited to play more of it. Speaking of the Dear Martha, we're going to do that now. So we're going to do Steam reviews, Dear Martha style, and everybody sit back and enjoy because here it comes.
My dearest Martha, today I review the RimWorld Ideology DLC. Martha, the whole ideology system is a great idea, but in its current state, the implementation is just not done very well at all. In my opinion, ideology should be more organic, not something that needs to be set in stone before you even land on the planet. I want to slowly convert my colonists to psychopathic cannibal drug fanatics. It should be a dynamic system, not something you decided before you even build your first bed, and that's it for the rest of the playthrough. You start growing drugs, your colonists are curious and enjoy the stuff, so over a few years they develop a space cocaine cult. Your tribe is saved from a lethal pirate raid by a random polar bear that wandered into the area a few months ago, so the traumatized survivors start to worship the beast as a god. This is how it should work. The current implementation is just a huge disappointment to me. Yours in this life and the next, Belian.
I'm sorry, what? What was his name?
Belian.
Belian, okay.
Blind Ribbit.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, see, that kind of explains. That game's got crazy depth, and I always am entertained when I hear about it. But
It's stuff like that that makes me want to play it, and then I look at the trailer and I'm like, nope, I get the hell out of there. I'm like, it's hard. That sounds amazing.
yeah, that's really good.
And I love that he had very specific taste about how he wanted his mayhem to go, and he didn't like the implementation.
Yeah,
That's what I liked about it too. And this was actually, I think this might be the number. Well, it's high up. It's in like the top 5 Steam reviews currently for it.
Oh, wow.
I usually won't do the top reviews, but I just liked the little. I like that most of it is dedicated to just the scenario this person came up with in their head, and that's how the game should be.
yeah, yeah. By the way, I saw something I shouldn't have laughed at today, given how dark the situation was. But I was reading that Reddit thread about the Blizzard stuff, and somebody couldn't get over the Crosby misspelling. So he says, does that really say Bill Crosby? And someone else says, yeah, Crosby. And like they weren't understanding. And somebody said, it's a typo in the quest text. I don't know why that's so funny. I thought that was so freaking funny at the moment. But then I remembered the larger issue and it was less than funny.
It's because we all want to laugh.
You need to sometimes. You need to. All right, the games we've been playing. I played New World, as we mentioned. We've talked a lot about that. Pokemon Unite. And then Shipbreaker, which I was informed in the chat room earlier is going through possibly another reset of progression, which really bums me out because I worked really hard on the current run. But I'll do it again. It's fine.
Is it still in beta?
It's still in beta. Well, it's in early access on Steam. But
Okay.
it's just been my comfort food, man. I don't know what the deal is. I've streamed a ton of it lately. I love it. I had a real run of like perfectly disassembled large scale ships at high difficulty levels and felt really good about myself. And then a couple of really bummer ones that exploded everything and lost a ton of money. And the game's just great and continues to get better. And I'm stoked for just that game. I want it to be out though, so that I can just never.
Do you have a desire for NPCs in there? Like when something blows up, that goes, "Oh shit, Bale, it's blown up! Everyone get back!" You know, like does it need flavor that way? Or are you good with being isolated?
I'm okay with being isolated. There was some talk of a co-op mode. I don't know if that anything ever came of that. That could be interesting. Like two guys, separate parts of the ship, communicating back and forth. Don't unhook that yet because I haven't turned off these. Like there's something there, maybe. But I don't think they're focused on that.
I break down some ships with you. It sounds like
it sounds like a great time.
Is the big update and the reason they need to wipe it because they're going to finally stylize it to reflect the Homeworld universe?
They're going to finally put Homeworld ship names on everything. And no, I don't think that's why they're resetting it. But they've got a lot of... So they basically came out and said, look, we've gotten the game to the point where we're really happy with the core systems. So now our updates are going to be less frequent, but they're going to be major. And they're going to include the entire voiced version of our story thing, which right now is just kind of a mix of computer voice and employees faking the voices and stuff like that for their story content. And then they've got other big stuff coming, like just big rebalance stuff, that sort of thing. So all I know is right now I'm a badass. I've got 50 tethers. I can rip a ship apart in minutes, and it just feels great, and I love it. And I wish I was playing it now. And then I played a handful of indies. I'll talk about most of them on the Boop Show at some point or another, but I did want to mention...
I have a question about this for you.
Go ahead.
Real quick, because it might lead into what you want to say.
Okay, go.
I have 2 games in my cart right now. I think you have played both of them, and I think they would fall into this category, and you should just tell me if I should buy them or not.
All right, go.
First one is Town Scraper.
Town Scraper.
Town Scraper.
I don't know if I know Town Scraper.
You own it, but I can't throw stones because I own a lot of games I haven't played either.
Let me remind
Townscaper,
myself.
not Scraper.
Oh, Townscaper.
Oh, Townscaper.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, Scaper. I do have that. Okay, so continue.
I can't read.
What's the other one? What's the other one?
Wait, should I buy it?
Well, what's the other game?
Okay, it's not either or though.
Oh.
But anyway, the other game is Death's Door.
Okay, the answer is yes to both of those. Death's Door so far is incredible. It's really good. I compare Death's Door to A little bit of Souls-like, but not enough to put me off of it, which you know me. I don't like Souls-likes, but it's just the right amount of what Souls games are. And by that I mean, difficulty, paying attention to what enemies do so that you can react properly and kill them, boss fights that are insane, dying and having to kind of backtrack a little bit, but opening up shortcuts. Like those Souls-like things are in there. Zelda, bunch of Zelda qualities to it. You're a crow with a sword. And it's awesome. I think that game is awesome. Okay. I really like it a lot. I'm probably 3 hours into it, and I think it's amazing so far.
What's it called?
I heard it giving you horror game screams.
Oh yeah, well that was mostly mad.
I had your stream on because I could, and I had it turned way down because my wife was doing schoolwork behind me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I just heard a ringing shriek, and she just turned around and said, "What is Scott playing?" She didn't even know I had it on, but she knew you by screaming.
She knew it was me.
She said, "What is Scott playing?" And I said, "He's playing a top-down adventure game." And she says, "Why is he screaming like that?" And I said, "Because that's how he video games.
That's how I do it.
That's just how he works."
Well, those were frustration screams because the boss fights are really hard and intense, and they're incredibly satisfying when you win, which is another hallmark of a good Souls game or a good Souls-like, and it does a really good job of that. But that's what I was yelling at. It's a very, very cool game. I think it's
is that Death's Door?
Death's Door, yeah, brand new, Devolver Digital unit. They showed it at E3. And I remember at the time going, ooh. Yeah, kind of top-down Hollow Knight. That's a fair. City, and that's fair. There's a lot of Hollow Knight.
It looks good.
Yeah, but it looks good. Yeah, Hollow Knight isn't very good looking. But
I'm sorry. I always use my opportunity to rile Hollow Knight people.
Yeah.
And it's not fair. First of all, people will get mad because people really like Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
That's one of those games that people adore. And it didn't do it for me.
Yeah, me either. I could never get into it.
I hated that game because it got built up too much, and I went in and I kept waiting for it to become the game everybody told me it was, and it never became that game.
The vibe is a little more like, I'd say, Ori and the Blind Forest, actually, to Death's Door. That's a little more the vibe I get. But structurally and maybe mechanically, there is some of that. When you just said it, whose name just left my brain. What is it? Soul Knight.
Hollow Knight?
Hollow Knight, that's it.
Hollow Knight. The bug game.
Yeah, the bug game.
Gray bug game.
There you go.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's a very pretty game, very cool game, and it's clearly a work of love, and the environments are really neat. The only complaint I only have one. It's not a game breaker, and it's not one that makes me not want the game, but it doesn't have a map of any kind, not even one you can find or unlock or, whatever. It is all down to you going, okay, have I been this way before? Like, there is no map system in that game, which is a little annoying. I think it could use something in the way of a map, but the other stuff makes up for it. It's very cool. Townscaper. I haven't played it since some recent updates. I noticed that thing's got like overwhelmingly positive reviews, and it's still in early access, but I think if I had to compare it, John, to anything, and probably why it's worth the $6, it's only $5.99. It's like that other one, the Nux Attorney, or what's it called? The one where you, what's the one?
Nux Attorney?
What's the one where
you're talking about Dorfganger?
Dorfganger, Dorf the Romantic,
No.
Dorf Romantic. That's
Dorf
it.
Romantic?
Yeah, it's like vertical Dorf Romantic kind of.
Okay. That's why I was interested in it.
Yeah.
But I was watching this one. It's mesmerizing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun to
Trailer for
watch.
it. I'm like, I was just sort of staring and silent and just loving this. And I'm wondering, can you export like a top-down view of these and use these as D&D maps?
Yeah. No kidding.
cool.
Wouldn't
Is
that
there-
be
is there an
amazing? Oh,
That'd be amazing to do.
that would be such a
Yeah,
cool
I mean, like
idea.
if you want to make I don't know if it has the full medieval. It's early access, maybe, but it still looks rustic enough that you could get away with building a castle and some houses. And I think you could, like, I would easily use this and export a top-down image if you could take it as like a.
Well, and maybe you can in more ways than one. Like, this is the actual game description. and this is important for those who are wondering what this is, because it's not really a game. Here's what it says. Build quaint island towns with curvy streets, build small hamlets, soaring cathedrals, canal networks, and cities on stilts, block by block. No goal, no real gameplay, just plenty of building and plenty of beauty. That's it. Like, that's his description of his game. Mm-hmm. So it's not meant to be a game. Dorf Romantic, at the very least, has, there is a game there.
There's a game that I wish wasn't there because I'm waiting for creative mode.
Right. This is more
that's why I think I'd be okay with that.
I think you'd love that for this then. I do.
Basically, the itch I want to scratch is you talked about like Pharaoh and those like city building games. Yeah. My favorite thing to do in that was just design cities.
Right.
I didn't care about if it functioned. Like people going like, we need this. I'm like, I don't care about you. I just want to make a city that looks pretty in the way I want it to look.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, the itch I'm trying to scratch. And this seems like that might do it.
Yeah, this might be what you're looking for then. There's no pressure. There's no mayor going, we need more water, the trash removal. It's none of that. It's just build cool looking shit, tons of templates. The more you add on things, it makes you want to visit these places. It's just, it's a rad little thing.
The description on Steam is instant town building toy. That's all it says.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. It's a toy. That's a good way of putting it. It's just a toy. Somebody in the reviews here is saying it'd be cool if you could walk through first person style after you finish, but I don't know if they're ever going to have that.
Give me a map exporter, put a lot more assets in it, and it's beauty. I put it on my wish list. I think it's cool.
It's pretty neat.
It's only $6 though. That's a big ask, I guess, for a $6 game. But
$6. It's not bad. That's low, right? I don't know. Anyway, John, the answer is yes to both your questions there.
Okay.
What else? That's it, really. I played some others, but I'll get into those next week when I've had some more time with them. But got a handful of keys this week and just kind of going through them. Oh, and Game Pass put up some neat new stuff that I want to get my head around. This Chris Tales, CRIS Tales. It's like a
Chris Tales,
like almost like a not paper craft.
I saw this. It had an interesting look.
Yeah, the look's really neat. It's basically a traditional JRPG, maybe even more like Paper Mario mechanics. A lot of sort of hit them with your ability, but if you hit it the right moment, you might get a crit, and also hit it for defense when they come to attack you. It reminds me of those things. It looks really neat. It's all hand-drawn, time travel stuff. Oh yeah, all the animation's hand-drawn animation. It's really good. But I'm just not like real far into it yet, but it seems cool, and that's on Game Pass, and there's a whole bunch of new Game Pass games, so I'm going to be checking those out. I tried to play Tropico 6, which also is on Game Pass, and I made it about 10 minutes, and then I couldn't do it. I think John's talking about this itch he needs scratched. I want a city building itch, but I need it to be ancient stuff. I don't want to do become a ruler of a horrible island full of a-holes. I don't want to do that.
You don't want to see people in just Hawaiian shirts and big beer bellies carrying suitcases with sunglasses coming to your island.
I really don't.
Like, no,
I don't. I want ancient Egypt. What I really want is that Pharaoh remake. So hurry up, whoever's making that. All right, John, Final Fantasy. What else? What have you been playing this week? What do you got?
Final Fantasy. What else? The best.
Yeah, Final Fantasy's on the list. I always put it on the list. I always put it at the top of the list. It's just a reminder that I love it. Actually, though, if you want to know how crazy my addiction and love of Final Fantasy is, I have, as you guys know, sunk hundreds of hours into that game, and got to end game, got done with all the content. I have started a new character.
What?
Over.
Wow.
I didn't expect
that.
Main
questing all over again at this point?
I am doing it all over again. So
you think it's just a passing phase, or you definitely think you'll make it the whole way through?
I don't know. Here's the thing. If that character can get to the end of the game before Endwalker comes out, it has a chance that will become my new character. But I don't know if that's going to happen because on this new character, I'm just taking it slow. I'm picking up every job. I'm picking up every trade skill. I'm doing every quest. I'm doing all the things I told Bo not to do. And I'm just living in that world, and I'm not racing, and I'm not trying to get through everything, and see what the story is. Now I know what the story is, so it's just I'm existing in that world because I really love that world. So is just my character to be in the world and enjoy. And then I'm still logging on in my main because I've developed a crippling addiction, which I told Bo was going to happen, to the gold saucer. And I can't stop playing mini games in the gold saucer. Yep. That song is permanently stuck in my head. Oh, there's also an event going on right now, which is basically a heist mystery to solve, a crime mystery to solve in the golden saucer. Somebody stole the 2 million MGP mount. And you have to find out who.
Is this
stole
like
it.
a ARGP or whatever they call it? Like the whole server has to figure it out?
No.
Oh.
It's not. It's you run around the gold saucer and you talk to people and you pick up clues, and
it's a quest
then
line.
you
Got it.
have a quest that resolves itself no matter how poorly you do.
What's that thing called though? But what's that thing you're talking about called? It's called AR. No, A.
Oh no, I meant it's like what they did with Sombra. They call it something like
There's a word.
ARG.
ARG?
Yeah, like an augmented reality game.
ARG.
Augmented reality.
Reality game. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, John.
So there is a thing, and you're earning more coins there right now, and there's some new stuff around that. So that's all.
Do you dress up appropriately for gold saucer? Because I felt underdressed. Like I think you got to wear, nice blazer or formal
I wear
gown.
my combat clothes in there to let everybody
you savage.
know I'm serious
It's
about
a
my
civilized
gambling.
location.
Nope, I go in. Dude, the proprietor of that casino walks around in bike shorts. Like I had to rub lotion on that man for a quest. Like it's
Did you really?
Yeah. So the owner of the Gold Saucer, Manderville, is kind of notorious. I haven't played his quest chain, which is gonna probably get a bunch of people to tell me I have to do his quest because I know it's very funny and very zany. But he is this like very big muscular man who is frequently not wearing any clothes at all, and I met up with him at one point in a hot spring, and he asked if I would rub oil on his muscles, and I did. So,
if you want to get the quest done, you better rub the strange man with lotion.
Yeah. So, anyway, he's great. He's quite a character. I did appreciate the game for giving me the dialogue option that I wanted it to. I guess spoilers for the story of the limited Vanderville saucer quest, but basically when you catch the person who stole the mount, there's this really like nice like, hey, they did it, but they did it for good reasons, and the owner of the casino shows up and decides to let them keep the mount that they stole. He's like, I'm gonna give it to you as a gift. And I was like sitting there and I was like, isn't that nice? I was like, hey, I helped solve this crime, shouldn't I get the mount? And sure enough, the very first dialogue choice that pops up afterwards, one of the options is, can I get one too?
Oh, that's great.
And he doesn't go for it.
Oh, he doesn't go for it?
No, I tried. He said, yeah, you have one with your name on it. Just make sure you earn enough coins to buy it.
Lame.
Oh, so now you got to play a lot of the mini games.
Yeah, which is what I'm doing. Honestly, I'm just counting on winning the lottery. That's my strategy. Yeah. I'm going to win the weekly lottery. That'll get me halfway there if I win.
There's a lottery in the Cold Saucer?
Yeah, there's the mini one where you get a scratch card and you play a little mini game with scratch cards. You can win 10,000 coins off of that, which I won 2 in a row one time. And then there is a weekly lottery where you go and you pick 4 numbers, and if your 4 numbers get picked, you win $1 million.
That's some
and they do it every
virtual
week.
Gambling there. That's what that is.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm hooked. It's a problem. I like being in the saucer. There's mini games. I'm doing jumping puzzles. I'm flying around in a little jet shooting badges. I got into the stupid card game, Triple Triad, and I've been playing the card game. I've been traveling around Eorzea challenging people to freaking cards, which is a real nightmare that now there's another game in the game that I really like.
Yeah.
Oh, this whole time there was a Gwent game.
Yeah, I'm basically playing Gwent, and I'm walking around challenging everybody to Gwent. And here's the thing. There's cards to collect from that. And like everybody you play could potentially give you cards, but it's not a guaranteed chance. So you not only have to beat them once, but you usually have to beat them multiple times.
Oh,
And
geez.
you got to get better cards. Got to keep getting that up.
Yeah,
So
I'm out.
I'm having
I'm
a
out.
really good time. It's super fun. Every time I play that game, there's something else for me to do, and it's just a really fun time. And I got a sweet mount that's basically a combat mech that I ride on top of, like I hijacked it, and it's a transformer. Anyway, Final Fantasy's great. Scott, you and I'll talk more about it tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll have all kinds of.
Oh yeah, I guess your Dragon Beef's gonna move to the instance too, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have a big old Dragon Beef. Actually, really, it's just it's undeniable what's going on in that game right now, and I think you just described some of why. So we'll get into that pretty deep tomorrow and discuss.
But beyond that, just New World, Wildermyth. Yeah. I did do a deep dive on Wildermyth because Final Fantasy servers were down when I wanted to play. So I got through my first campaign of Wildermyth, and that was really neat. And I had a character die, and I was very sad about it. I also put myself in the game, and I turned into my body started to become stars.
Oh, weird. Really?
Yeah.
Mine became crystalline. I was starting to become a crystal person, crystal creature. Yeah. And then and then the dude who was our main tank, he died, and that was awful. But we used his death as a way to gain a bunch of armor.
The character who died, son, joined my group. Yeah. Did you have a relative of the person who died join you?
No.
Yeah, so 2 of my characters apparently got married. I wasn't paying attention, but that happened, and they had a kid. And the son joined my adventuring team and became a werewolf.
What?
It was incredible.
That's amazing.
Oh, what a saga.
Yeah.
But it was just his head. He didn't, like, the rest of his body didn't transform. He just had a wolf head. It was really cool.
It's amazing that game with those characters that all look like this somehow manages to do what it does. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Bo, you played Disco Elysium. Is this a finally playing it? I can't remember.
Yeah, finally playing it. I've owned it for like at least a year, if not more.
Yeah. How'd it go?
It's nice to fall in love with a video game.
Oh.
I think this is one of the best games I've ever played in my life.
I'm so happy Bo likes it. As somebody that constantly was like, play it, Bo. When I saw him get into it this week, I was so excited.
This is one of the happiest I've ever been playing a video game. It is so good. I'm so involved in it. And it's not quite what I was expecting. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I think it's a cross between like a Sierra, point and click adventure, mixed with D&D skill checks, mixed with a text adventure game. So you're not typing south to room, but it's like 90% of the game is just in the conversations you have in your head and with NPCs. Yeah. And they're long. Like, there's some dude, usually in a video game, there'll be like a dude picking through the garbage can and he says 2 things to you because he's just there for flavor. Not a thing in this game. Everyone will talk your effing ear off if you let them. Like, and the thing is, when you talk, it burns through your time. So you're kind of like, you can waste time, valuable time, chatting with people in an effort to accomplish the game's goals, which you're some kind of police person. But it's also the fourth little blend in its DNA is that I think it's like, I'd have to wait to get to the end, but it's pretty close to great literature. This is like a literary work.
Yeah, it feels like who's that guy we always talk about? Reminds me of whenever you guys talk about it, reminds me of the playwright. Wrote a bunch of wrote a bunch of movies too. Who am I thinking of?
Arthur Miller?
Nope. Other guy, more modern.
Sam Shepard?
No.
David Mamet?
Yes, Mamet. That's what it reminds me of. Mamet.
Yeah. He's not close to Mamet. He's more like this feels more like actual reading. I'm not as good on my literature, but it's like you're reading Tolstoy or reading Proust or some introspective author that goes deep into the psyche of the author in their experience of the story.
Yeah.
And it's got you wake up with amnesia and the world is just very tilting. Not tilting, but like off-putting. Not off-putting. Unfamiliar. It's just very alien. Like, you're like, is this Earth? And you sort of feel like, is this not Earth? Like, I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
So I really feel the feeling of what it might be like to be an amnesiac trying to assemble my life together and things seeming so weird but so familiar. And I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to give it away. I know you do read books. I think you should play Disco Elysium, but just go in expecting a low energy experience. But it's actually just,
well, I do like.
It's amazing. It's really good.
I like reading. What I don't like, I find that there's a happy middle. There's a place where in games where I like to read a lot, and then there's a place where I don't. And
it's all voice acted now, so you technically don't have to read it.
Oh,
it's like an audio book now.
Well, that's even better. But like, I love a novel, and I'll read, and I don't like audiobooks generally. I'll read them, and so I can do it. But most video games aren't great writing, so I skip a lot because I know it's not great.
So if you're skipping this, then you're not playing the game. You'll get nothing out of it. Like I will spend. I've streamed all of my playthrough. If you were to tab through my stream, like I spend 30 minutes to an hour at a time on the same sort of area, going through a conversation. It's conversation. There's not much there, gameplay mechanics wise. It's like playing a D&D session that's no combat, very heavy on NPC interaction, essentially.
Right.
But it's really good. I mean, some kid pissed me off, and I decided it would be a good idea to punch the kid, and I missed and fell on my ass and almost died. Been there. Once you get into it, the way that they set up these scenarios and then the outcomes of these scenarios actually like move you and are hilarious. And because your brain talks to you, an NPC will say something and I'll react, and then I'll press the move forward on the text button, and my brain will give me shit for the thing as if what I said was part of the script. Like they anticipated I was going to be like, oh, screw you. And they're like, don't be offended. You have a fragile ego. And I'm like, what are you doing to me, game? Why are you calling me out like that? Like it does it not just once, like it's like it does it fairly consistently. In my case, it's a work of genius. Like I don't think anyone can just make this game and you're like, yeah, anyone can make a game like that. I think like the people who made it like really did something special, and I'm enjoying it. I mean, I haven't got to the end yet, but I'm loving it.
I need to find
a lot of adult themes, not for the kids, I don't think. And it's heavy, so if you don't feel like that kind of thing, it's definitely heavy, sobering material, full of drugs and politics and murder and that kind of grimy, the grime and underbelly of life. But it's brilliant. I'm in love. Like it's so good.
$40 on Steam. This is the newest Final Cut, right? Yeah.
I have a few stories to tell. John, I died to the fan.
Perfect. That was how I died immediately.
I died to the fan.
Experience.
Yeah. And there's Twitch integration, so Twitch chat can participate in two things. They can vote on what they want me to pick. I don't have to pick it, but I can take their temperature if I'm like confused about something. It's kind of fun and be like, okay, what do you guys think I should vote? Half the time they give me serious advice. Half the time they troll me with something obviously dumb and I'm like, my character wouldn't do that.
Like when you tried to tell the kid that you're no narc and you just are there to party and do drugs, and the kid's like, you introduced yourself as a cop. Like you can't come in and say you're not a narc.
That's right. And it's fun too, because like you kind of do these horrific things. Like the kid might have information, but he's such a little shit. So, but the kid is high, so he's high on drugs. And then so because I know that, I'm like, if I buy the kid cigarettes, maybe he'll tell me stuff and think I'm cool, but I can't do it with my partner. So I got to wait till my partner goes away. And then I'm going to go buy smokes and give it to the little kid. And I'm like, this seems morally gray. But you can do these kinds of things and they have an impact on the story. The game remembers it in this crazy way. And your brain talks to you. Like my brain told me, like, you seem to apologize a lot. You're a sorry cop. Do you want to opt into the sorry cop program? I'm like, no, I'm not a sorry cop, and I told my brain to F off, and that was like it's so much more involving in the minutia of thought than you even realize. That it's really well done. It's not what it sort of looks like on the surface. It's kind of a mind bending text adventure, and I mean, I'm shocked. Even though I knew it reviewed well and John recommended it, I didn't imagine it was going to be what it was going to be, and I love it.
Yeah, I think his take that you were like the prime target for this. Seems right. I mean, it's I think any good art experience makes you reflect on things or provokes thought. It's not about it being good or it being bad. It's just it being moving. Yeah.
and you're experiencing something that is self-reflective or makes you think about. I mean, at one point, I think I was talking about corporate structures and governmental structures, and I was just talking to the stream for 20 minutes about something the game made me think of.
Yeah.
And that's happened several times. And I'm like, games don't normally do that, even when they're the good, Mass Effect games. I'm still not reflecting on the nature of governance, human civilization. And this game makes me do that. Like a great book, like reading some Dickens or reading, watching, I don't know, a great film that might do that, like maybe Citizen Kane. I don't know, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I'm just hard pressed.
You never saw
I'm
Citizen
hard pressed
Kane?
to think of a film that really made me think as deeply as this. Like
Have
it
you-
really has a book quality to it.
Have you not seen Citizen Kane? You should see that.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you really should.
It's like there are films that you're like, I enjoyed that. It's for entertainment, and there are films that like move you and make you think, and maybe you didn't enjoy them so much, but the experience of it. I mean, I put Blade Runner 2049 kind of in that category. It's by all means a effing boring movie. 3 hours of plotting stuff, but it's very moving what occurs in the film, and for that reason,
I love it so much. Did you see you see the Dune trailer? Speaking of that guy,
yeah, I'm so stoked for Dune.
I barely stand it. I cannot wait, dude. Why do I have to wait?
I know.
Damn it.
Yeah.
October. Holy shit.
Yeah, that looks really good. So it's in that vein of sort of fiction or experience that you're looking for. I loved it, and it completely derailed any Final Fantasy playing that's going to be happening. I know the lure in the chat room's like, "We miss you," and I'm like, "I'm not coming back. I'm going to do drugs with some kids." Wow. So yeah, that's what I've been playing mostly. I mean, since I started playing, I haven't stopped. That's been my time. But also in the game front of the Scott in category, Scott was right about things. Proteus, I also played a lot of.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear this. Tell me what you thought.
It's definitely, I mean, it's Doom vibes all the way.
Yeah.
It focuses on gameplay, and it is for a game that's supposed to kind of be low bit graphics, but also has a modern sensibility. It's perfect.
Yeah,
it's just perfect.
Yeah, I love the mix.
Everything right.
Yeah, it does. The visual, it was hard for me to explain, but now that you played it, you can probably, tell what I was trying to talk about.
It's a feel thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you kind of look at it, you're like, okay, it's an old game, but I'm like, it actually feels like they nail the movement, they nail the feel of hitting dudes and moving around and that energy. Like there's an indelible part. Like there are other shooters. Like I played Shadow Warrior, one or two or something. I'm like, I didn't like the feel of it. Like,
right.
But this game really felt like a solid meaty shooter that I'm just having fun going.
Yeah, the shooting's great. The guns are great.
I highly recommend, and it's like free with your Xbox Game Pass. Just play it.
It's Game Pass. It's currently still an early access game, including that version, but they're close to being fully done. And also, I messed around with a bunch of the community made stuff. There's really cool stuff in there. In that part of the game,
I haven't gotten to that yet. I'm still in the campaign. I found it got challenging at a certain point.
It's hard, yeah. It can be, but you can adjust that as well, which is kind of nice.
I think like the one criticism, just in case it ever gets back to them, is that like there's these large lumbering one-eyed dog guys that run at you, and you don't hear their footsteps, so you'll just be kind of running around. You'll turn around and be three of those guys at your face, and I'm like, I don't even hear them coming. Yeah. I don't like that. I wish they made some little footsteps or something.
Yeah, they're brutal. Those guys.
Yeah,
but they're just I don't know. The game just nails that whatever that is that they nail it. Whatever you want to call that.
It feels like a Doom game with a bunch of Star-Lords in it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. It's really
because the zombies have glowing red eyes, and it reminds me of like Star-Lord, like his mask.
It's really cool. They are like the Star-Lords, you're right. I hate when those guys reload and are there's like a period of time where they reload to fire again, and they hurt when they hit you.
Oh, the shotgun guys? Yeah, they're brutal.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, they do the battle chest thing too. They'll throw a couple of different enemy types at you, and you kind of got to figure out like, who am I hitting first? Like, what am I taking out? How am I moving around to dodge the other things?
What weapon should I use? And the alternate stuff and reloads and all that stuff's really great. It's good.
Yeah, weapons feel good. I haven't unlocked them all yet, but they feel really good.
Very glad to hear this. This makes me very happy to hear.
And in other games, more Sea of Thieves, not much to talk about. Just super still fun game. Yeah. You should play it sometime. It's amazing. Oh, I got killed. Finally got killed in PvP.
Oh.
I got ganked. Yeah.
Sad. Did that suck, or did that sour you at all, or is it okay?
No. It's just one of those learning moments when you get beaten. You're like, okay, we're gonna do better next time. We're gonna be better pirates.
Nice.
But it was fun. We saw a lot of players actually. We're starting to get into the point where you can find the other players. They really ease you into it.
Sure.
And then I played some Wildermyth too. Not enough to talk about, but it was pretty fun.
Yeah, let me know more when you get further into that, because that game, that's one of those where it may not be quite to the level of what you're experiencing with Disco Elysium, but I had a similar mind-altering moment in Wildermyth where I was like, what is happening? I mean,
if there's a game that have that, that's the game, considering how flexible the storytelling system is.
Yeah, it's really good. Well, all right. We played a lot, and listeners, you've heard a lot, but you haven't heard this.
That's a good question.
Quick email from Wes, who says, he sent us to talktothecore@gmail.com. Please use that email address. We'd love to hear from you. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for the fantastic content. Y'all are the entire reason I started playing Heroes back in the day. I also love the direction you've gone since. I have a bit of a nostalgia question for you all. What was the first game that blew you away visually? For me, it was the opening cinematic of Final Fantasy. What is that?
7.
7?
Yeah.
Why did that look weird? On my best friend's brand new compact 486. Also, I don't care about winning the Xbox, but I really hope at some point my dear Martha can be read. LOL. Thanks, Wes.
I mean, maybe we could do that. Maybe if there's a few standouts that we find, maybe we could read a few of them.
Yeah,
But...
why not? I mean, we just talked about Doom, and I would also lump Quake and maybe Unreal in there. Those shooters all blew my minds when I saw them. The original Doom in particular, I just couldn't believe what I was looking at.
Wolfenstein was mind-blowing at the time, honestly.
Yeah, for what it was doing. I mean, I guess I'd come off of that thinking, well, how good could this Doom be? And boy, howdy, was it good. For me, though, if I'm looking at a more modern context, I think probably the one that really got me in a very modern way was Mario 64. I couldn't believe how games were going to look. It was like, oh my hell, we're going to have Pixar-looking games. And this is one of those. And even though, it's not exactly that, but for its time, it was just mind-blowing. I couldn't believe how good that game looked.
But Control too, because I feel like we all had our moment with Mario 64 where we played it at a Toys R Us or whatever and just ran into a wall because we couldn't figure out how to control it because that analog stick at the time was so crazy to us. We were like, I don't know how to play this game. I don't know how to control it.
Yeah.
And then you found out very quickly because that game was intuitive, and it changed the world. That was one for me as well.
Yeah. Bo, do you have one that jumps out at you?
I mean, Wolfenstein would be the one just because I remember just the feeling of, oh my God. I think the Resident Evil games on PlayStation 1 had an impact visually. Just they were at the time.
Oh, yeah.
They were like my friend would bring over to his house, see it on the console, be like, holy crap. Look how realistic this all looks, for the time.
Yeah.
I think lately, though, I was really blown away by Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's just front to back. There was no blemish on it, the entire package, and everything was so melodramatic and so well animated. I thought that really moved me a lot. I mean, the game moved me to tears at certain points, So, and just also graphically looked really beautiful from a storytelling perspective. I don't know. There's lots of beautiful games, but the ones that just stand out that hit you emotionally are the ones that really resonate, I guess, in memory.
Sure.
Yeah,
so those would be the ones.
It's funny because as I think about gaming, it is kind of a constant for a long period of time. The first time I saw Super Mario Brothers 3, I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, video games never gonna look this good. And and then you see Super Mario World and you're like, what is this? I remember Echo the Dolphin was a big one for me. That was the first time I was like, oh, video games are beautiful. I was really impressed.
I think Doom 3 also was a big watermark. Before it came out, when it was being hyped, it was a jump in graphical ability. At the time, it was like, holy crap, look how crazy.
Yeah, the shadows and stuff, it was mind-boggling. You know what's weird about 3 though? Freaking, they came out on stage with Steve Jobs to show that off before anywhere else. They showed it off on a Mac. I still to this day, and I'm a Mac user, I don't understand what the hell that was about, because as far as I know, Doom 3 never played well on any Macs, but they came out and showed it running on, I guess it would have been, that would have been pre-Intel even. They were still using PowerPC chips. And I just remember thinking, why is John Carmack showing this at an Apple event? That was really odd. But yeah, it was impressive.
I remember a big one for me was Myst.
Oh yeah, Myst.
Because we got that with our CD-ROM drive when we put one of those in the computer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a drive we used to have in back in the day.
You got your Myst
computers.
in
computers didn't have CD-ROM drives. Now I know they do. That's the way it is now. But for a time, it was also a standard. We got it for free, and I think, graphically, Myst is just very pretty and it's atmospheric. So I think I'm kind of using atmosphere as part of the visual experience. But I just remember playing that game. I was terrified there were monsters in it. This is not like anybody came by and was like, hey, by the way, this is Myst now. There's no enemies in this game. There's no violence. Like, nothing bad's going to happen to you. And I just remember being terrified the entire time I was playing Myst.
That's funny.
Now it seems so ridiculous because everybody knows it's not a game where you die.
That's really funny, though, because I feel that way about Dear Esther. I feel that way about Going Home. All these games that are like walkabout games.
Gone Home terrified me.
Yeah. That's what it is. Gone Home.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it did. And I was never in danger, but it didn't matter. I was terrified through the whole thing. And I felt the same way about Myst that you did. And it's just because atmosphere matters. Like, you can really create a lot of tension or happiness or relaxation or whatever with atmosphere, and games starting to do that. That in itself was impressive. But yeah, they still kind of scare me, those games. Like, if I see a Myst scene, like out by the dock with that weird submarine thing or whatever it was, I remember even that image in my head is just like, there's too much fog, which was probably a technical limit of, the render. I don't know. But it was all just like mysterious and weird to the degree that I'd never want to be lost there. It was really something, man.
I mean, and the Myst music was so good too, and so iconic, and just like, I don't know, that thing is still trippy. Oh yeah, it is behind me. I should get it. I should show it to you.
Grab it. Go grab it.
Yeah, show it.
Yeah, why not?
Another one too I was thinking of, though, while he goes and gets that, is I really liked the I remember being really impressed with Space Quest 3 and its improvement over Space Quest 1 and 2. I remember just like, my uncle showed me, here's Space Quest 3, you'll love it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so much better than Space Quest 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Space Quest 3, John. It was also a huge graphical.
Yeah, it was a big jump. There's a bunch of extra pixels, I think, or something.
Yeah, you went from EGA to VGA.
Yeah, that sounds.
You're like, oh my God, 256 whole colors.
John, look at that.
So this is my Myst book, and where is it?
Is this like the book that's in the game? Like oh yeah, with the screen.
And I don't know if it's on. I don't remember how to turn it on, actually.
Bill Duran remade this and built one of these and put a phone in it.
Yeah,
really?
It's supposed to light up, but I don't think the battery's charged. But yeah, like, it opens up, it plays the music and all of that. So it's got like the linking screen, and you see the little flyover and all of that. Like,
wow,
awesome.
I wish it had the audio. I meant to show the audio.
Is there a CD-ROM in there?
It's a fake book on the side, and then these open up, and that's where you would keep copies of the game if we didn't live in a digital world where it's all on Steam. But they are in there. There they are. There's awesome. The copies of the game. CD-ROMs, everybody, they're in there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I miss the days where you got a giant honking box for 12 floppy disks. I know that. I love the Betrayal at Krondor box. It was like 12 discs inside, a bunch of manuals in the box. It was like buying a board game.
Yeah.
I miss those big PC boxes.
Yeah, I do too, kind of. I have a few still. But the bigger ones I have now that are modern are just collector's editions of things, and I don't really do that anymore. Yeah. But yeah, back in the day, if you bought Homeworld, it was just the little disc and a tiny manual, but it was a huge freaking cereal box size box. And those were the days. They quit doing that. All right. Let's continue down this path of we're done. This is pretty much we're done now. We've kind of got to the end of the show. Yeah. It was a big show.
Bow down.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. We've talked about a lot. We've been a lot of places, but I hope you guys at home enjoyed it. And if you did, you might want to support us at patreon.com/core show. It means a lot to us when you do, and keeps the show running. So if you like running it, by gum, it's right there for you. Patreon.com/core show. You can find everything else you need at frogpants.com/core show. Before we go, a reminder, John will be joining me tomorrow as a guest on The Instance. We'll discuss some more of this Blizzard stuff, but mostly we're going to do a big deep dive into Final Fantasy and why 14 seems to be taking over the MMO world at the moment and why. So we'll get to all that. plus the additional stuff. So check us out tomorrow at 12:30 Mountain Time. And get your entries in for winning that Xbox Series S. That's at frogpants.com/core contest. It's all super simple. Go check it out. You'll be a random winner if you do. And John, do you have anything to say before we go? Any final words?
There's no enemies in Mist. Stop looking.
I agree. Quit looking for them. Bo, thoughts?
Quick brain, help me. You don't have any thoughts. Okay.
He's talking to his Disco Elysium brain. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well done. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening, and we really appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time right here on Core.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
Oh, I forgot to do it. Discord's cutting him off at the high pitch. Can you hear that? You can hear it cutting him off. You've got that setting where it'll cut off your peaks, which is okay.
Oh,
It's not a big deal.